carried this team through that series they just had. You see the numbers he's had in the postseason.
Going lighter and swap new
MVP.
Sure. And that is go.
One of 6 Atlanta Braves who have won the NLCS MVP award.
That we are going to be able to
last 2 have gone by the name Eddie.
By that today. That's fine. Watch
Swing and miss by Rosario. Our player resume is sponsored by
Okay.
His numbers for the entire postseason: 14 hits in the NLCS, tied for the most in any series in baseball postseason history, but the first to not need 7 games to get the 14 hits.
You're in the frame, Tosh.
I know it.
Get it correct is the last one. 0-1 is in for a strike. Rosario.
So what adjustments do they make to Rosario to get him out?
I mean, according to you, there's nothing.
Yeah, it's tough. When he's hot like this, it's tough. Have like 3 days cooled him off, though?
He checked it. So Rosario,
Because that's going to be a big thing if he stays hot in this series.
was non-tendered by the Twins after last year. He signed with Cleveland a 1-year, $8 million deal, and basically as a salary dump, they traded him to Atlanta for Pablo Sandoval. They cut Sandoval like 16 seconds later, and Rosario ends up the NLCS MVP. Here's the 1-2 pitch.
Oh, that was big for Valdez.
There's that breaking ball. It is sharp.
Yeah, if he doesn't have the breaking ball going, it's going to be tough for him. But
he sets up his sinkers first, and then he'll start throwing a lot of these breaking balls with 2 strikes. It's amazing how many strikeouts. 89 out of 125 strikeouts came on the curveball in 2021. The batter will be Adam Duvall, brought back to the Braves. He led the National League in RBIs between his time with the Marlins and Atlanta, drove home 113. Looking for a 2-out hit. For coverage of this game in Spanish, please.
who do you think wins the series?
Which is celebrating its 25th anniversary.
Braves.
You think Braves and how many games?
Robert Valdez allowed 3 hits in
6.
8 innings at Fenway.
Braves in
Game
6.
5 of the ALCS. He's allowed 3
I got
hits
Astros in
the
5.
I'm
I'm rooting for the Braves, to be clear.
I think I would agree with you.
I'm rooting for the Braves, but I think the Astros are
My
going to be
favorite
too
is the
much.
map of like the updated MLB fan map. It's like Houston fans are just in Houston. The rest of the map is
Yeah.
all Braves fans.
Your, was it MLB Trash Talkers
Yeah.
Instagram account?
Yeah.
Do I
Does it
want
make
to
noise?
Yeah, it makes a noise.
Swing and miss on him, trying to hit homers, trying to lift the ball, but when runners get on, he just focuses on particular pitches, and the strike zone seems to be a little better.
But I don't think Houston has any, like it has enough pitching.
I haven't thought that this whole
I haven't thought
playoffs, but
anyone
like
really has enough pitching this entire
they
way.
just keep winning. Their offense is ridiculous.
Jorge Soler, as we play the 117th
It's going to come down to bullpens for sure.
Whose bullpen's better?
I'm not sure.
The first batter of the World Series.
I mean, I think the Dodgers had the advantage in pitching out of every postseason team.
Probably. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I mean, starting pitching without McCullers, you'd probably have to give the advantage here to Atlanta. Maybe just slightly, maybe even. Probably the bullpen advantage goes to Atlanta.
I just feel like it hasn't
Yes.
been a World Series in a while where there hasn't been like at least one team doesn't have like a really strong like rotation.
Yeah, this is kind of new age of baseball right
Yeah.
now.
Like there are a lot of no-name pitchers. on both teams, really.
There's like young guys coming up that haven't
Yeah.
become big names yet. I mean, not that they're not good, but
Right.
short porch over there. Is that 4-0? Nope. Boy, that was dangerous. He thought that might have been a homer too. I've seen that swing too much in my time. I just think the Houston offense is rolling right now.
I mean,
They went through
same with the Braves.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of hard to tell because the Braves coming off playing the Dodgers, and the Dodgers pitching is really good, like you said. Houston kind of, if you look at all the World Series teams, they usually like go through a mini slump for a couple games somewhere along the line, and they get close to being eliminated, and then their offense catches fire again. I feel like the Astros went through that slump with the Red Sox and then like caught fire.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
If Houston wins, how do you think the baseball world is gonna like react?
Oh, if Houston wins, I personally, this is going to be controversial. All right.
Shocker.
Yeah, shocker, right? I personally think it would be great if Houston did win for them. And like in a way, I'm rooting for them to win, to like get
Why
rid of
did they really get a harsh punishment?
No, it's not that. It's just I think it's time for the baseball world to move on. Like it's always going to be part of baseball, like lexicon, and like you're going to make jokes about the Astros, like you make jokes about like the Black Sox scandal here or there, whatever. You know, it's going to be part of the culture. But I think it's time for people to like move on. And I mean, think about it. It's 4 years ago. First off, like there's only three players on the team.
It came out like last year.
Yeah,
and a lot of it was overshadowed by COVID-19.
Yeah, that's true.
Like this is the first season that fans are like.
Yeah, that is true. That's a very good point. I do think though, like you can be mad at the organization for sure, but like the players that were there, there's only 3 players left. I believe it's 3 players from that team. So you got a lot of players on that team that are like, I think maybe it's more. I mean, McCullers was on that team, Bregman, Correa, Altuve. There's more than 3. Not many more though. So you got a lot of players that are now have been traded there, have been brought up from the minor leagues, have been acquired that like are just wearing
was
it.
he on it?
I don't know if Gurriel was there or not in 17. He might have been. But you got a lot of players.
What? Because didn't he make?
Yeah, he had the thing with Darvish. Yeah. I don't know. I just think that like just time to move on with it. That's how I personally feel. I'm still rooting for the Braves in this series just because I like a lot of the Braves players quite a bit.
I think enough. I think a lot of people feel like they didn't get punished nearly enough, and I don't think a lot of people are ready for them to move on. It'd be one thing if they got some huge punishment and it's like, all right, they served their time and like move on.
So you think that they should be? You think that if they lose the World Series, then it extends the punishment a little bit? Like, how do you see the?
No, I just think it's more of like. I mean, I don't necessarily like agree or disagree with this either, but I think a lot of fans feel like if they win, it's almost like you guys got off with basically no punishment to begin with, and then you win, and now you're gonna act like, you really, like you never cheated, you won one fair and square, and like, I don't know. I think there are a fair amount of fans that just don't want to
deal with it.
Yeah, they don't want to see them.
That's fair. I'm sure like I said, I think I'm probably the outlier here. I think I'm probably like the hot take person.
I mean, I'd be curious like how a majority of players feel about it.
Yeah. That'd be an interesting poll if you could ever get, a large enough sample size of players.
But also I think I guess a few of the big names sign multi-year deals there, like Altuve, Bregman.
Yeah.
I mean, then Correa was locked up, and those were like the big names during the scandal. Like who else was? I mean, you had Springer,
Springer was there, yeah.
and obviously he's not there anymore.
Right. You have McCann, I believe, was on that team.
I almost feel like those ones benefit though from, or is helpful
Yeah,
to
Reddick.
just like move away,
Yeah.
like get away, because
Yeah, 'cause I
you'll
feel like
forget
fans-
that they were a part of it.
Right.
Whereas like guys
There's
like
Brantley
Bregman,
just raking. That's all he
Always.
does.
the most professional hitter
He's-
in all of baseball.
Yeah, you got two guys that's standing over on first base right now that qualify for that title, or they're in the conversation for that.
Yeah.
Freeman and Brandt. I also would love to see Brantley get a World Series, just because he's been close.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have been close.
He's blown a 3-1 lead twice in the playoffs.
So have you?
No,
No, not twice.
just once. Yeah. Also, Morton versus the Astros is a good example. Like Morton was on that team.
Wait,
Now,
was he?
I know the pitchers weren't involved in the cheating or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But like Morton was on that team, goes away, like doesn't get I don't think he gets known as like or labeled as like a cheater or whatever, right? That's kind of what you're saying. Springer goes away, whatever.
Right. Right. Like people aren't looking at him as like.
But another aspect of that is, do the Astros, boy, a tight strike zone. That's already 2 that he's missed. Do the Astros know how to attack Morton because he played with them, or is there enough years in between that? Probably enough years in between, but
the last game Morton pitched was game 3 of the NLCS. They went 5 against the Dodgers, but walked 6. They walked 4 uncharacteristically in the first inning, lost the feel of that sinker, but kept them in the game. That hits the inside corner, 3-1.
let's see if the Astros. I just want to see a good series, I guess, is what I
You just want
want.
everyone to have fun.
I just want some drama. No, I don't care if everyone has fun or not. I just want it to be interesting. I don't want to see like 4 games where it's 10-0 in the first and like.
That's why I wasn't the Red Sox Dodgers. I feel like World Series a couple of years ago was like fairly boring.
Yeah, but the Astros Dodgers
Yeah, it was like
the
absurd.
most
Absurd.
crazy series.
The amount of home runs in that.
Like Game 7 was still a pretty good game because it was like 4-1 or whatever. It was close, but it just felt so boring relative to Game 5 and Game 6.
Yeah.
It's one of the best baseball. Brant's so mad right now that he had to run a sprint and didn't get to stay over there. He's like, "Are you kidding me? You're making me run right now?"
I also thought the Nationals, Houston was like fairly interesting just because no one won a home game.
Yeah, that was super interesting.
And because
And just the difference. Oh, what a play by Freeman. That was a very awkward ball and very awkward play to have to make. But
I feel like the Nationals made that exciting though too because basically the entire season and at almost every series in the postseason they were on the brink of being eliminated.
yeah, they won like
they
10
would
or
always
12 elimination games or something. It's crazy.
Well, they also started the season like 19-2, or like a 2-19, or like something ridiculous.
They're like 19-31 or something like that. They were bad.
Yeah,
And then they just got hot in the back half. They had to play their way in.
and
They had to win the wild card.
Yeah, they won the wild card, but it was like at the last minute.
They
Or like,
beat the Brewers, right?
wasn't it an extra innings or
It
something?
was something like there's a hit and like they got a.
I thought it was an extra
off
innings.
Hater and
Yeah, but they were
Yeah.
down like the whole game.
yeah. Really, the two things I remember from that postseason run are Eaton and was it Howie?
Yeah.
And we're doing like the shifting
Yeah.
in the dugout. I
car.
thought that was great. And then the
Great
Soto Bregman
Mhm.
bat carry to first, which was just electric.
Morton stays away with ball one. One thing Boston did not get to against Alvarez is the pitch up in the strike zone, crowding him.
I was gonna give like Alex Cora crap for. Did you see when he got mad at E-Rod for doing the time thing?
Yeah.
But I found out that it was because they like had an agreement that they weren't going to do anything that would like fuel the fire for Houston, because Houston's notorious for like taking that kind of stuff and using it as like fuel and motivation
Personally,
to come back and beat them.
Yeah,
So that's why like he was mad at it, because he was like, we're going to wait till after, then do all the shit you want.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
I was
and
very
gonna
conflicted.
Give him,
I was very conflicted because as a player, I totally understand the mentality of like, oh, well, you don't want to give them extra reason. Like I've been in enough of those conversations where I get that perspective. But from a fan's perspective, I'm like, yes.
yes.
Well,
that's what I saw. And then I saw
want
him.
more of that.
I saw him doing that. I'm like, that's not. I didn't think Cora would be like that.
Yeah.
And then I found out like, no, there was like an agreement.
Yeah, and then you look at how the rest of that series played out, and you're like, well, did that have like? Yeah, it's one of those things where you can't say it ever directly had an effect, but you just wonder because they didn't win a game after that, right?
Did they?
I think they won that game, and then they lost the next.
Yeah.
98. 98 from Morton, huh? Still doing it. How old's Morton now? 37?
37.
Yeah, Jordan doesn't like that up and in fastball.
Such a balanced hitter. Waiting for 3-1 from Morton.
Oh. 98 though from Charlie in the first inning. Got a little bit of those World Series butterflies going on right now.
And you look at what has happened for Houston, 45 of their 67 runs in 2 outs this season. A final note to why I gave you with what they did against Boston. A 341 average in this spot. Dramatically outstanding for the Astros. Correa is going to want to do something early, I think, against Charlie Morton. 0 for 6 with 5 strikeouts. Now,
Correa does not like the Charlie Morton breaking ball, huh?
with 5 strikeouts, better as pitcher.
Didn't see that one very well.
Strike one. 27-year-old free agent to be.
Forget that Correa is only 27.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Feels like he's been around forever.
I know.
He's gonna get paid.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he does.
Tough market for shortstops to come. You know,
Yeah.
there's just so many good shortstops out there.
Yeah. Like when you hear a lot of, I don't know, just people speculating about what he'll get. Everyone talks about, like, oh, he's going to get paid, but then they talk about the kind of contract, and it's not like a historic contract.
Yeah.
And so it's,
I think it's going to be tough with, what is it, like 4 Class A shortstops or
Yeah.
5 Class A shortstops in the market for anyone
I
to
mean,
get.
luckily Lindor,
Oh, that's right. Lindor took himself off. Well, he signed his extension, so he's out of that market. But
Morton lives in Florida. It's signed to pitch for Tampa Bay for 2 years.
0-2 already.
One-year deal, and they have re-upped for another year. One-year deal, Joe, a lot had to do with last year's pandemic. He didn't want to go out with that weird year without being around his teammates and doing some of the things that he enjoys. That 1 year led to this and another year.
That was almost Bach-ish right there.
Pulling him back in. Ball one
I was like, there's still some movement going on when he started his delivery.
Both these pitchers are good with 2 strikes, especially Charlie Morton's ability to put away hitters. Has been really good on the year.
Did you combo off that outside slider and throw a 2-seamer, or are you just rip another slider? 1-2. Tried the 98.
And see, right now, he's a little frustrated because he's pulling his sinker.
He knew he had that. He had that set up.
You remember too in 2017 when the Astros won? I feel like everyone was pulling for them because they were like the underdogs.
I don't remember the mood back then as much.
I remember because I was working at the MLBPA then in New York.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
I remember not rooting for the Astros that year
Really?
because I had.
I remember.
We had history
Yeah.
with them in Cleveland and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I remember being so excited. I had friends in law school too that were from Houston, huge Astros fans. I never even really knew Astros fans before that, and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool for that city."
it was great for the city because they had the big hurricane, right?
Yeah.
It's a big pitch here. You don't really want to go bases loaded. You also don't want to give up a 3-run jack. Oh, boy. So is that 3 walks now?
And now the dangerous Kyle Tucker walking in. He leads baseball
Oh, boy.
in this postseason with his 15 RBIs. And Rick Crammett will come out. So we've seen a vision from each pitching coach in the first inning of game 1. I think that's what's going to make this series so intriguing. They're evenly matched. We could get some high-scoring games, and then you can get some 2-1 games based on the matchups. And this is just a reminder, as a pitching coach, going to tell him his mechanical tip. You got Tucker at the plate. He's not seen a pitch he doesn't like. He swings at first pitches, so you got to make a quality pitch first pitch. Because Tucker.
What do you got on the camera angles because it's different than regular season?
I like the camera work in the postseason because they have all sorts of slow-mo cameras out there and they catch all these big moments in like 1,000 frames a second, perfectly focused. It's really marvelous.
The quality, I think, is insane.
The quality is crazy.
Yeah.
Like this angle is just like you never get this type of angle in.
Some of it though is bizarre to me. Like some of the angles they show, I'm like, can we not?
Yeah.
No one likes this.
Yeah. One of the they have like a handheld camera. Like they were just showing it like walking around behind the plate, and you can tell it's handheld because it's kind of moving around a little bit. I like it for some reasons, and I don't like it for others. It's at least new. They're trying something new, which I think is good. Oh boy.
And see, that's the one thing for a pitcher. When you know you've got a guy that loves to swing and you struggle with your pitches and walking a couple guys are missing, that's a guy that can get you back in the strike zone. But you better make a quality one, because you'll be trailing.
That was a dangerous one.
So two RBIs this postseason. Steps out. The last World Series Grand Slam was Game 4 2 years ago tonight. For the Astros, Alex.
Wasn't your friend wasn't he one of the people that BJ that decided what camera shots to use when? Oh.
Great play, Albies. That was almost 2 runs. That's big. Yeah, BJ was he does it for Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
So for hockey games, for basketball games, stuff like that, he's kind of
he would
switching,
make decision. Okay, we're going to show these angles.
He does that a couple times, but his main job is like the graphics
The
and stuff
transition, yeah,
for
yeah.
the scoreboards and whatever. But they all sit in the same room, so he
Yeah.
was telling us
Oh
about
yeah.
how that all works, and they have like
I think
20
that's
different
like an
angles up there where they're
interesting job of like you're almost like choreographing or directing or like producing like in real time or
yeah.
just like a little ahead.
It's interesting though, because when you're watching and there's like a split second of a camera angle that's like not on someone
Yeah.
or something like that, you notice it.
Yeah.
So those guys have to be like super on it all the time. I gotta make my post workout shake. I'll be right back.
Stop in, Rachel. Do this.
What?
For me.
Oh yeah, for you? Yeah. Yeah, I got you. Got you, fam.
That's a great line.
I just don't feel like doing this last set.
Yeah, no problem. I'll sub in.
Make sure that you got some good lighting.
Trevor's over there making us a peach lime vanilla cocktail.
Then find the second and let it
A little bit of cherry pie to
Hi.
wash it down.
You got this.
Hi. Okay, what message did you hear this time? Say divers can save using Snapshot.
What's Snapshot?
It's a commission stuff.
I took a look at that.
Yeah, me too. I always like, wah, wah, wah. Tell me about it. I'm going to sell at your retreat next weekend.
Well, he's got kicked out of it.
For talking?
Grand Larson.
How about we get back to skating? Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Morning, everyone. Taco Bell's toasted breakfast burritos will get you out of bed. Lucky items, crispy bacon, and the melted blue cheese ahead. All crispy morning perfection. You're not dreaming.
Leave one plate on your bar.
Only at Taco Bell.
That's what I almost said swap.
Crawford
That's all right, that was-
allowed to lead off from
Oh, did you really?
And an RBI double to Austin Riley in the first inning.
I got it behind.
Nothing in
Sort of through this one set. I've had 4 plates on one.
This in Houston and Minute Maid Park is a notorious for the infield. The infield plays. Two outstanding defensive plays by the second baseman so far.
What I miss? Nothing.
All because of the bases loaded. The count goes to 0-2 on Darnell. Pressure plays too. Early first inning. I don't want to call them jitters, but pitchers trying to establish themselves had a hard time commanding their pitches. The Braves took advantage of it, and the Astros almost took advantage of it in the bottom half.
I feel like the Astros have a lot of pitchers that throw hard and don't look like they're throwing hard.
Yeah.
Like their relievers look like they're trying to throw hard, and they do throw hard.
Yeah.
But their starters, I feel like, are just very rhythmic, and the ball just like jumps out of their hand. Almost like their deliveries lull you to sleep, and then 95, 96.
By Indeed, we help people get jobs. And by Steal a Base, Steal a Taco, only at Taco Bell.
Chalupa, you gonna go get your free taco at Taco Bell?
Already get my. Where are my gift cards? I think they were sent here for my chalupa namesake.
You have a sponsorship yet?
No, I'm working on it.
You got to get that.
I know.
Interesting career, but when the postseason turns, he turns.
What do you got on his pearls?
I'm in on pearls. I love it.
I do too.
'Cause
But
it's
I
so-
did not expect that from you.
It's just different. Like you don't ever see it, right? So it's just, it stands out. It's a perfect, I like it for that reason. And his response about him was so perfect.
What did he? I didn't even.
You didn't hear that?
No.
I don't know if I can even say it. They asked him about his pearls, like, "Oh, why do you wear pearls?" And I think he said, I could be misquoting here, but I think he said, "Because I'm a bad bitch."
We're going to go through some of the things
I think that's what he said. Which I thought it was hilarious when I heard it.
I love it.
That's some hair right there.
That's what you're going for, right?
I could. I mean, we can do whatever with my hair. It is what it is at this point. It's just all over the place. So let's dress it up.
Like, I don't know if I like this angle. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, that's from the base, right?
Yeah.
There they are.
Jocktober.
You like Jocktober?
Yeah. I'm a big Jock Peterson fan.
He's doing real well.
He's
got
always
the Jocktober name. He's got the pearls. He's got the response
he's always
to it.
been like he's always been a player though that just showed up during postseason. He always came off the bench and
Yeah, I wonder what that is really. Like when players, do they just show up better? Is it they handle adrenaline and the nerves better?
I was talking to his brother about it. And his brother just like he's always been like that. Like when the lights come on, he like it's his moment and he thrives in that. And so
yeah, there's definitely some players that like need that extra something on the line to really be fully invested. But there's also some players that like shrink away from it. So you get this weird like some players elevate and some players shrink, and there's definitely something to like postseason performers though. Oh, wow. Boy. That ball was smacked.
Do they have the roof closed?
It looks like the roof's closed, yeah. Yeah.
Strategy offensively, it looks like the Braves are executing it perfectly. Hittable up in the zone and doing stuff with it. Whereas the pitches that are down, even if they're called for strikes, they're leaving alone because you're talking about one of the greatest ground ball pitchers in the majors. And so far, the ball's going up. They're able to get some hits on it. Now, Vance will work.
Come on, Soler. Let's see what we got here. You gonna hit another one? Oh, they're gonna give up the run, huh? So what's the? I guess you don't have a play at home, so you want to get the guy at third.
That's not a good base running play, even though the run scored and you sacrifice the out. The reason that's not a good base running play, anytime you're at second base.
Yeah, I didn't understand.
To the left side, you can't go. I mean, that's what you're out for that run. There was no threat of Correa.
Yeah, because Correa's playing back, so the run was going to score regardless. I don't know. If I'm the Braves, though, I'll take that run, 3-0.
Yeah.
I think if I'm the Astros, I'd give up the one run and get the outs, especially with Freddie on deck. Just good baseball play all around. They said it was bad base running, but I mean, I guess you'd rather have a guy on second, 2 outs instead of first.
There's another strike, 0-2 on Freddie Freeman. Now he'll go to the curveball more than likely. Freddie's capable of staying on it.
Back.
Hit on that tremendous play by Altuve to his right in first.
What do you got on when people boo when the pitcher throws to first?
I boo when I have to throw to first. I get the pickoff sign like, boo, all right.
Against the Brewers, struck out 7 times in a row, made an adjustment, came back, got 6 more hits after that. That just shows you what Freddie's made of. 0-2 pitch.
And they went heater. You run a heater in on his hands now?
There's games 1 and 2. 0 for 8, 7 strikeout, but the rest of the way, 6 for 13. Couple of home runs and 6 walks. 6 walks, 2. Another 0-2 pitch. Robert Valdez.
There's the curveball.
Game once, so much different in the best of 7.
Good sequence there.
You can deal more.
You guys going core?
No, not yet.
No core yet?
No, I'm
Do we need to put the music on?
Oh, we do.
We need to.
We'll wait for a commercial break.
Okay. All right. We got to get the.
All 4 of us, or you can be our coaches. You can coach us up. Why don't each of you come up with a core exercise that we can do?
I don't do core, man.
Just anything that your high school coach made you do that you hate.
I didn't. Well, him. I hate him. I didn't do anything that he told me to do.
Okay. And look where you're at, so that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, against his. Yeah, he was not happy about that. I don't know. Chalupa's probably got the best core. So
You guys
Yeah.
couldn't do my core stuff. So.
yeah, what's the one where you have to like the like muscle ups or the what are they called where you're like hiking on
Chin to levers.
chin levers?
Pull up here, and then you just like a seesaw, like teeter up and down like that.
Yeah, program those.
Yeah.
Coach them up.
So you're gonna pull up, and then
We'll get you a ladder.
straight body, and
We'll
then you're
get you a
just gonna-
ladder to the pull up bars.
Then you just tilt it down the bar like that, upside down. Okay, and then not even close.
All right, continue.
I'm listening.
Okay, pull
Well-
up to your chin.
I'd like to hear the whole thing first.
You go so you're here. I mean, I've only done it bar like that, and then you're gonna with a straight body pull the bar and flip upside down to here, and then you come back to here, and you just keep teetering like that.
Can you still do one?
I think so.
Can you demonstrate?
Yeah, probably not a good idea in a
That's true, that's true.
dress, but
Yeah.
Things girls have to think about. Is that
Well,
what
we
it's
just
called?
have
The
to put,
teeter totter
like,
flippy
weights on our
flippy
feet.
floppy?
That's I'm gonna program for you. Teacher taught her to flip me floppy.
we used to like strap like
3 rounds to
a
failure.
bunch of weights on our feet, and then like 20 pounds, and we were also probably like 60 pounds. And then
You were 60 pounds.
once upon a time,
I was 60 pounds when I was
Born. When you were born.
Tosh came out weighing 60.
Sorry, Mom.
93 home runs in the young career of Ozzie Albies. Still coached all the time by a specialist before turning 25.
Oh, nope, they got a shift on. Safe! Oh, man.
That means Altuve's gonna hit a solo shot.
That's the same. He's beat out 2. Albie's just flying. Another great call by the umpire.
First ones.
They got someone up in the pen already, huh? Yep. Dude, Albies can fly. That's a tough one for Valdez. This could be game over here.
With 2 out, what a chance here for Atlanta.
Big moment.
Typically, you would pitch out of the stretch and be smart out of the windup. By pitching out of the windup, you get the runner huge advantage with 2 outs.
Yeah.
But to easily score on a single out,
Oh, you're going to give him that pitch now?
The bad thing is that my handwriting is just.
Pitch is down.
So like, there's no way. Yeah.
Man, if you're getting into your bullpen in the second inning of game 1, I mean, that's kind of how they play things, but still.
Yeah, I mean, but if this gets out of hand,
Yeah, I guess you have the off day in between game 2 and 3, so it's not that big of a deal, but it's just the looks that you give Atlanta
yeah.
at the bullpen. More time the hitters
That's
get
what
to
I'm
see.
telling you is that I don't think that either team really has like enough starters to go deep, anyways.
Boy, that's a big thing for Valdez right there. 3 straight breakers, all of them balls.
Yeah.
He's mad. checking for sticky stuff. Got to check him. Make sure you get the belt, get the
I
hat,
like how they
get the
don't
glove.
show it anymore.
Yeah, that's
Remember
good.
in the beginning they were like big on
zooming in
showing,
on it. Yeah, it's not good for baseball. All right, Chalupa, the chat has some questions for you.
Okay.
So the first thing they want to know is, like, are you an athlete or what? So give them your athletic history.
I was a gymnast from the age of 2 until like 22. Then a competitive boxer, and then I still work out.
So what does 2-year-old gymnastics consist of? Crawling on a trampoline? What's
I mean, you'd be surprised. Like, 2-year-old gymnastics is like they ease you into it, and they like try to see if you're probably someone who is gonna have any sort of. It's usually you can figure out quickly like who's athletic and who's not, and then if you're athletic, you kind of go on like a different track, and then it's many years of not fun.
Do they have gymnastics scouts? Like 2-year-old, like you're
Maybe
going to
in
the
Russia, in Russia,
maybe?
China.
So they're going to the hospital, checking out the
Well, in,
babies
like,
and the newborns in the beds.
In
and like,
Russia and
oh,
China, they take kids like they do like I think they do like camp things in local like little towns, and if they find athletic little babies, basically infants, toddlers, then they take them to a training facility, and that's how the like families are taken care of in whatever town they're from. But the kid is taken away basically to.
So gymnastics for most of your life to boxing. How many fights did you have?
I had 6 fights.
What was your record?
4-2.
4-2. It's pretty good. You wore the
They were all in
headgear, or
decision. All in decision.
you didn't knock anyone out?
No, I did. I knocked. I mean, the
Oh.
ones I lost.
Oh, the ones you lost.
Were in
Okay.
decision. And just to be clear, their face looked way more effed up than mine. It was all bloody because they got more points because I think they would make more contact more often. But like, I always had to fight girls who were way taller than me because I was really strong and like I had a lot of muscle from gymnastics, so I like weighed a lot, but I'm 5 feet tall. So anyone who weighed as much as me was usually like 5'9", 5'10".
So you were like the Mike Tyson.
Yes, I had to learn to fight in. But when I did make contact and actually, land a punch, it did a lot of damage. And they would bleed usually. Like their faces would always be bloody. I would look like I hadn't been touched, but
So what's more stressful on your body, gymnastics or boxing?
Gymnastics. But I don't think that there was any workout or whatever that was nearly as brutal in terms of just difficult than boxing, like a boxing fight.
Gotcha.
But
so you're
in
way
terms-
more sore just globally. Like your body's way more sore after a boxing fight than it is after a meet, a gymnastics meet.
Yeah. I mean, but the workout, like the intensity of a boxing fight is just, I mean, because you're not only physically like exerting yourself, but you're literally taking blows
Yeah.
like all over your body.
Yeah.
So there's just so many levels of stress and whatever.
How long would it take you to recover from one of your fights to feel like, okay, I'm back to normal? I feel like living day-to-day life is
usually like a week where I felt like pretty beaten up. I also had a fight that I won right 2 days before one of my first final exams in law school, like one semester. And when I went to study the next day, my brain felt messed up, like not there. And I was
you could tell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to memorize stuff. I was like, oh man, this is not good.
Yeah, if there's ever a time where you can't remember something, you know something's off. I'm gonna adjust your microphone for you.
Why is it not? Are you not able to hear me?
Well, you talk a little bit quieter than Sid. So,
Okay, jabronis.
0-1 strike on Chaz McCormick. 6 for 19 this postseason, and he's had the bulk of the playing time in center
There we go.
Thanks.
as Jake Myers injured his shoulder in Game 4 of the Division Series at Chicago, and he's not active for this World Series.
Ooh, nasty.
Everything he does is a symbol of that swing. He'll run through a wall.
Like, that swing looked painful.
He loves his
Yeah.
enthusiasm. It may not be great.
Well,
Maybe
you,
just
you've
'cause
swung,
me-
you've swung on a tee, right?
Yeah.
When you and you swing and miss all the time. So how does it feel when you swing and miss?
But I my
Your
shoulders
shoulders
aren't
fly out of
quite
their
in,
sockets,
they
right?
quite literally dislocate. So
Boy, those are nasty breaking balls. They had a chance to get Morton in the first, and I think he's going to settle in and give him 5-6 innings today. But yeah, it doesn't feel good when you're swinging all out and you expect to make contact,
Yeah.
and then ball's just not there. You're like, what the heck? Ow. That's why you see shoulders. I mean, you saw it with Tatis on swing,
Yeah.
swing and miss.
well, that was when he was talking about he couldn't really just let it fly because his shoulder. I'm
Yeah.
like, I know that feeling, man. So I swing like a golf swing, nice and controlled.
It looks exactly like a golf swing.
It's gotten
Just-
better.
Has it? Is Sim getting you right?
Don't you? Yeah. Don't you remember from my first bat? Remember the one Griffey had me do of like the back flip,
Yeah.
and that was like I got demolished by everyone.
Yeah, all the high school softball girls came
Real
after you.
mean, real mean. Got bullied.
You got canceled by the high school softball
did.
girls.
I did. They call me Chief. Chief, that ain't it.
Chief.
It's like you do a backflip, damn it.
Chief, that ain't it.
Now they're nicer to me.
Okay, so the next question that they have for you is like, when did you decide that you wanted to become an agent?
Probably like my freshman year at UCLA. Because I knew I wanted to work in sports. I knew I wanted to, because I was always an individual sport athlete. I was more passionate about like helping the individual athlete as opposed to being a part of a team. Even though I think most people generally tend to like being a part of a team.
Yeah, that's kind of the draw of going and working for a club, right?
Yeah,
It's
because you're a part of like there's that camaraderie and you're a part of like a bigger kind of whatever.
Yeah. And when you try to win the World Series,
Yeah.
so when the team wins, the whole organization wins, and
Yeah.
you have that competitive aspect, right?
Right. And people usually like to be a part of a team. Whereas I just never like had that, never was really drawn towards it. So I thought about being an agent, and then the first agent I talked to happened to be a baseball agent, and he told me that I wasn't really welcome in the industry. So I was like, all right, baseball it is. And if he was not, oh damn. If he wasn't like that, then I probably would have interviewed or talked with like a football agent after, maybe hockey, basketball, who knows what sport I would have gone into. So it's his
But you
fault.
were also friends with a lot of the baseball guys at UCLA. Were you friends with other athletes?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously athletes know athletes, and
But so I wasn't that like close with like as many basketball players. They kind of like did their own thing.
Yeah.
But remember, baseball and gymnastics hung out a lot together
Yeah.
at UCLA. And then I was friends with a lot of football players, but there were like a few reasons why I didn't really want to go into football either. Like, one, I never felt like I would be taken as seriously. And a lot of the work, sometimes it felt like it was more like babysitting when it comes to football versus like being a baseball agent. It's just different. Like the kind of like the day-to-day work that you do if you talk to a football agent versus a baseball agent is different.
yeah, that makes sense. So you were friends with baseball guys. So you started getting involved in baseball, but did you have a background in baseball before that?
Nope. I knew the basics, like 3 strikes, you're out. But and if you talk to a lot of like the UCLA baseball players that knew me, like they always reach out to me now and they're like, "You've come a long way, Lubes," like because they remember the questions I used to ask, and then to now. But I had to teach myself. Obviously, you like helped me a lot with teaching me, but I had to teach myself everything. But then started like reading Fangraphs like religiously. Just anything that was analytically related or whatever. I just had to try to learn it. And I used to go to a lot of games with a scout that I was friends with and ask him to like tell me what he's seeing like throughout the game and kind of talk to me and whatever, give me insight into what he's looking at and things like that.
So you've obviously gone from knowing basically nothing about baseball to now, I mean, a short period, relatively short period of time later, what, 7 years, 6, 8 years? From like,
Yeah.
what year is your freshman year? 11? So I guess technically 10 years from your freshman year, but from when you actually got out of school and started in your professional pursuit, that was what?
Like out of UCLA.
Yeah.
So I graduated a year early and then lived in
14.
Spain for a year. So I lived in Spain for a year and then started law school, which was like, okay, now I'm going to the baseball thing.
Right.
I started in like 14, 15.
And then when were you done with law school?
I finished like semester early. So like the end of 16.
Gotcha. So basically in the last 5 years of since you've been a professional, you've been done with school and stuff, you had started learning baseball and stuff like that before that, but really in 5 years, you've gone from having no baseball experience to being an agent, having your own agency and all that. What would you recommend for someone that's trying to follow in your footsteps, guy, girl, whoever? How do they get in? What would you recommend? Looking back at it, what was most helpful for you? Like, what would you recommend to them?
I mean, there's so many different paths you can take, I feel like, to get in. But one of the biggest things I would say is doing a general like sports management kind of degree or master's that I know a lot of people say like they think, oh, I'll do that. I personally think that's not the best use of your time. I think finding some niche like area where you can become an expert in it is like the most helpful thing. Whether it's for me, it's like salary arbitration was really like what helped. But finding something, I mean, if you speak another language, Japanese, if you speak Spanish, that's incredibly helpful. If you can code, that's helpful. But something where it's like, oh.
Yeah, there's Rosario raking again.
But I think it's like finding, because basically, I guess a majority of baseball agents in general are just like guys who grew up the old school baseball. I mean, agents really, it's guys who grew up in the game and whether they played or whatever, and that's kind of where their expertise is. And so just saying that you love the game or grew up in it, like everyone, except for me, maybe.
Yeah, that doesn't differentiate you.
Yeah. And even in a lot of times, even having a law degree now doesn't necessarily separate you. But it's like having something else, whereas like no agent has ever gone through and even been in as many hearings as me. In all, like even Boris would be like, he's not the amount of hearings he's actually been in. I mean, I've been in like 27. He's been in, I think, like 11 in all those years. So like having something that was so different and unique, like was really helpful.
So some areas like salary arbitration is one. If you got in with the union, stuff like that. If you're someone that knows baseball and also can code and do analysis and stuff like that. What are some other
The other thing you can do though too is I always tell people like find a project that you can do independently when you're trying to get into the sport, and show that regardless of whether someone is giving you an internship or a job or whatever, that you're passionate about it on your own, and you're going to go do something on your own, whether it's build a website, and start blogging, whether it's, writing articles, whether it's do some project on. I remember when I was trying to get a job at first after law school, I did a whole research project on like the setup reliever and whether he's more valuable than the closer. And that was like purely just for my own, like, something to kind of pass the time in a way and show that, I'm like passionate about baseball. I'm trying to learn. Maybe this will be helpful to somebody.
Yeah.
But doing that, I think, is always whenever someone has something independent that they're doing.
So you've gotten a lot of people that have reached out to you looking for a job, inquiring about these types of things. What are some of the, like, is there a specific way of reaching out that has stood out to you, whether it's like the way an email is written, whether it's some materials maybe that were included, a link to a project, a social media presence? Like what stands out when you're looking through, I guess, resumes, but like just people seeking jobs?
I think it depends on, there's a variety of things. Sometimes it's like a social media presence. Somebody is very, has created this whole kind of brand. I had one girl who reached out who, she had a really big TikTok following and made a bunch of just kind of entertaining baseball content. But I was like, okay, there's like, that's an aspect of that I can appreciate, and whatever, that stood out.
Dang. 5-0.
There you go.
Yep. I felt like that one was coming for a while and just haven't quite caught one, but they got that one. That's tough. That game's probably over.
Yeah.
Explosive start for Los Bravos.
Damn.
All right. Well, so you were saying there's one girl that had a big TikTok.
But anything that's like, I had, an intern that he created a whole like prospect. Like he had a Twitter with a pretty like good following, and he would go to a bunch of like, fall league games and follow like the top prospects and kind of blog on them. And that showed, that just on his own, going kind of out of his way to like pursue baseball, regardless of, whether he's in school currently or, whatever. Just something different sometimes, whether it's people include, a project that they've been working on. Someone sent me a whole breakdown of like this next draft class and kind of his thoughts and like analysis and predictions. I thought was interesting. I don't know. I feel like I always struggled when in law school. I remember I was talking to Lee Steinberg. He's a big football agent that came in and talked to us. And he told me, or he was telling us about how you have to like set yourself apart these days and, do something different. And he gave us like these examples of what certain people did that really like caught his eye. And then I was like, shoot, like now that like I eliminated doing that, right? Not that I necessarily thought of that exact thing, but I don't like, because I feel like once you start talking about it, then you feel like, okay, well then shoot, I can't do that. She's already seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great point to be made. It's like you look around and see what everyone else is doing, and like, oh, I like what this person's doing. I like what that person's doing. And most people think, oh, I can draw ideas from that. I can do this. I can do that. But by doing that, you're already copying.
Yeah.
You're already like getting involved in a competition that someone else is ahead of you in. So it's almost like you want to look around and see what people are doing and cross all of those things off your list,
right?
and see what's left. Like if you look for something, you're like, man, I can't find any information on this. That's probably a pretty good indication that you should just be the person that makes that information. There's going to be value there in some way.
Yeah. Trying to copy you don't want to compete necessarily with everybody else. You don't really want to have to compete with anybody in a way. Like if you
Right.
find something where there's nobody else doing it, probably makes it pretty unique. I
Yeah.
mean, assuming it's somewhat valuable.
Right. Yeah, it has to be somewhat valuable, but you can create value out of uniqueness
Right.
too, you know. And I think that's one of the things that's been interesting about you is like you're technically competing with a bunch of other people that have agencies, a bunch of other agents and stuff like that, but as a female, like that's something that's very unique and different. It sets you apart.
Yeah.
And so there's like there's some competition in the job, but there's also not a whole lot of competition in like being a female agent.
Yeah. And then there's also just even like the business model is different.
Right.
So it doesn't feel like I'm really competing. Also, like my social media presence, like everyone has something to say about it, and people don't like it or whatever it is, but it's different, you know?
Yeah, walk me through that, because a lot of people look at it and see like, oh, here's this girl that's posting pictures of herself, and they don't understand why on Instagram, or they see what you're saying on Twitter, and they're like, they have this thought about it, but they don't understand like what's behind it. So, like, what are the reasons, I guess, that you got on social media, and like what are you trying to accomplish with it? Because I know it's a lot deeper than just like putting pictures up and I want followers.
Yeah, I guess like each platform has its own purpose. My Instagram, there's like two things. One was covered by like Jessica Mendoza wrote a piece on it, like on ESPN about some of the things of like from gymnastics and the the eating disorder I had, and you know, that kind of struggle and journey. So some is related to that, but then a lot of it is related to my Instagram is kind of used to show that I can be, because I remember one of the first things when I was like getting into baseball, I remember I had a whole talk with a UCLA baseball player. He was former. He was playing pro. He was like, you need to make your Instagram private. Like players are going to judge you, whatever. And even in law school, they always tell you to be really like conservative, right, on your social media, because the people will look at it and judge you, you know, the employers will. So I made everything private. And I was never a big fan of that, but I did. And then I remember talking to you at one point, and I think I was going to post, like I was in a sports bra working out, and I was like, I can't post it on. I had a public profile that it was just for like travel and whatnot. And you were like, oh, just post that. And I was like, I can't post that. And you were like, why? And I'm like, well, because, you know, I don't want to like sexualize myself or anything like that. And you kind of asked me, you were like, what mold are you trying to fit into? Or like, why can't you? And I thought about it, and you then asked me like, what mold, like who's doing what you're doing that you're trying to emulate or be like or whatever. And the more I thought about it, it was like really nobody. So you're like, okay, so you get to create the mold. So create a mold like you're happy with, create a mold that's authentic to you. And then like, you're also going to make the landscape better for like future females, because right now it seems like most people that are dictating that mold, they're just men saying like, oh, you've got to be like this and whatever. But like, why do they get to dictate that mold? So Instagram was like more, the purpose of it is I'm going to be authentically me. Like I'm going to post things like that highlight the fact that I am a female. It's pretty clear, I think, on my page if you look. I'm not ashamed of it, and I can still do my job too, and it's completely independent of my ability to do my job. And so I try to use my Instagram as like, that's the purpose behind it.
And you try to like set an example in a way, or like be something different, or lead by example maybe for younger women, right? I know that's a big thing to you, is like,
yeah, to show them, one, like I have so many young like girls too who will message me and say like, I've always been really insecure about or worried about, you know, people finding things on
Not quite.
Like people finding my social media and seeing stuff and that they would judge me for it, and like thanks for showing that like it's okay to be a female, it's okay to be at the beach and be in a bikini and also like be able to do a job like independent of that. So I try to like show girls that you can be whatever you want. If you want to be like a tomboy, I used to be a tomboy too, like you can be that. If you're super girly, you can also be super girly. And then also it's like a platform to I think it's like important that women in sports like take ownership for their accomplishments, because I think like I'm not the first female to work in baseball. I know that for sure. There have been a lot of women that have like fought a lot before me to even give me the opportunity to be in baseball, but they were always like behind the scenes and in the shadows. And I think like the way that you move, like women continue to like move forward, is eventually like they start actually getting credit for the work they do. And so I think by having social media is such a great like vehicle for that, because you can have a voice. And so women don't have to just be okay with being in the shadows. They can have a voice on social media, right? And like take ownership of their accomplishments.
Yeah.
And so I try to.
That also exposes you a lot to like negativity, right? There's a lot of people that don't like that model, or they don't like that you're taking.
They're uncomfortable. I think that people are
whatever.
uncomfortable with it. Yeah.
So what would you recommend to the next generation of young females working in sports? How do they deal with that? Like, what needs to change with the landscape? Does there need to be a group of people that seek to give credit to females? Do the females need to take the credit for themselves? And like, if
I
they're
think eventually it will. They will just get the credit they deserve. But at first, you have to take it. Like that's one thing I've always learned about being a female is like, nobody at first is going to ask for your opinion. Nobody's going to give you credit. You have to take it. You have to give your opinion. You have to, like, one of the most important like things I learned when I first started out, even just like as a lawyer at the union, was like we would like, I don't know, there'd be a bunch of very knowledgeable like guys sitting at a table giving their opinion on a certain matter, and they would ask each other like, what do you think of this? And no one ever asked me. And then I was like, maybe it's because I'm like newer or younger, whatever. So I never said anything. And then at one point I was told by one of the lawyers, like, speak up, because I said something privately. He was like, that's a really good point, like, why didn't you say that? I'm like, well, like just 'cause no one really asked me, and like they asked everyone else. But I mean, I don't blame like any of the guys that were in that room for not asking me, but I think it's just like it's like everyone's so used to. I don't know, and that's how it always was. And then once I just started kind of giving my opinion, people listened. It's not like people didn't listen. And then people did start asking me like my opinion on things. But sometimes you just have to like first give it, or first take the credit, right? And then eventually it just becomes like more like acceptable or normal for people. So
have you come up with any strategies to deal with some of the negativity that you get from doing that?
Still working on it, but one of like the best like pieces of like advice or something I got from Tanner, the raised in baseball kid. He's like, I think he's like 12, maybe or 13 now, but he was like 11 years old. And I remember him telling me, because we were talking about like trolls and how he deals with it. And he said, nobody like shits on people who are below them. And so like people who are taking shots at you are usually like, they're, I mean, I wouldn't say like not necessarily inferior, but like you're doing better than them.
Yeah.
So it's like reminding yourself of that and reminding yourself that like the internet does not speak for everybody. It's an echo chamber.
Yeah.
And then sometimes like turning off your notifications and stuff and just not listening to it.
Go to the grocery store and realize that there's people around
Yeah.
that don't actually all hate you.
Yeah. Because it can feel like that.
Yeah, it's definitely tough handling that stuff.
I also think though that there's like something to be said about calling out trolls. And I know people like hate on me for addressing trolls, and they're like, you're giving them the attention they want. And I think the way I view it is sometimes I think young kids, if you don't call them out for it, young kids are looking and scrolling through and seeing comments, horrible things that other people say, and no one's saying that's not okay.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, well, these people are saying it and nobody seems to even really care. So that's acceptable. And sometimes I think it's important to show like one, like that you fight back against it, that it's not acceptable, because I think people forget when you actually respond. Like I think most people are good people and they don't actually mean anything, like there's no ill will. But then, and when you respond to them, or even if you respond privately and they're like, oh shoot, like I didn't like they don't think you're human.
Yeah. You're a profile. They just say something.
Yeah. And
then you respond to people all the time and get like, oh my
I'm
God,
so sorry.
I had no idea that you were going to see that. I didn't know you were going to respond.
The amount of people that are so mean to me, and then I even just respond, and then they apologize, like, and then they backtrack, and I'm like,
it's like you're trying to get attention by being super negative, and then when they get it, they're like, oh my goodness, like I got the attention. Now I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a tough thing with social media. So your advice would be to turn your notifications off sometimes, have a voice and be able, stand up for yourself, and then you realize that social media doesn't
reflect everyone's
the entire
opinions.
World, yeah.
I also think you have to have like a good, like there's room for everybody in the industry. Like you don't want to be the only female.
Yeah.
It's like that's a lonely place to be too.
Yeah.
So having like a good group of people who are kind of like your support system in a way where you can vent about that stuff, who will have your back when stuff is like, going not your way or whatever.
Yeah, having a good peer group is definitely important. Speaking of that, I got to go be a good friend and help Tosh set up the camera for Zach's comedy outing.
Yeah, I know. What time are we leaving? Am I? Can I? No. Yeah. My client's gonna go do a stand-up comedy show.
To second baseman with a ton of power. Albies listed at 5'8", Altuve listed at 5'6". And look at the regular season. Albies really counts for Altuve as an inspiration.
Yeah, come give us some of your jokes. Come give us some of your jokes.
We gotta review it first.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we do. What time is it? Yeah.
6:30.
When do you want me to? Do you need me to look over any of it?
When we drive over, I'll just hit you with what I'm working with.
Spin one on the outside.
You can tell me, yes, Zach, that's good. Or no, Zach.
No, Zach, please don't.
Please don't make my life hard.
I already have enough clients that I do that. Oh! Yay!
The play by Altuve to his right to get Freeman, and then with a all these two took care of Kyle Tucker, and after that last pitch, excuse me, sir, strikeout.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, what the heck? He's really small. Oh, he's so cute. Trevor, you've been replaced.
Enjoy, sir.
Hamstring or lower leg that's well. He got the strikeout, but see how he just spun and then comes up with good discomfort. Don't know what it is, but it's a good sign for Charlie and
Oh.
to have their start.
It didn't have to be this way.
Oh.
So Skipper is the bullpen here.
You're fired.
Oh, you can do that to me?
Yeah. I just did.
Well, shit. Josh, will you be my agent?
We've had this conversation. No.
The puzzle out of the bullpen and another guy who has been terrific for Atlanta this postseason.
Proceed, Yoda.
Take a picture from there of me and my streaming partner.
With Michael Brantley about to come up. AJ Minter comes into the ballgame after the injury for Charlie Morton. Back after this.
You can take mine phone.
Job searching with Scherzer. Let's do this. Before you get the game, make sure your stats are up to date. Then it's all about focus. Max focus.
Baby Yoda.
Oh, I'll hold him.
Why is the microphone?
Because he's small.
Oh, sorry. Are you guys using the space?
Nope.
What is there? Miss Mary Mac.
Right here.
Zach, are you nervous for tonight? What do you get more nervous for? Baseball games or this?
Okay. All right.
Oh man.
We got the 6-pack going. We're done.
Today, things can be pretty unexpected. For customers, they still expect things to be simple, and they want it all quick.
Yeah, I mean, that is the entire point of it. So it's going to be funny regardless. It's going to be funny because you shit the bed, or it's going to be funny because it's funny. We'll be laughing at you or with you, but we will be laughing.
Saving time and patience. That's why so many places
Yeah. And really, a stand-up comedian's job is to make people laugh, whether it's at them or at the jokes, right?
Yeah.
Like, people go to be entertained and to laugh. So, yeah.
Saturday, the stage is set for a hostile top 10 clash. Number 6, Michigan battles number 8, Michigan State. The big noon Saturday game of the week. The kickoff crew will be live in East Lansing starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. All part of the big
Zach, what time you guys taking off? What time are you on? Show up around 7. Bigger adrenaline rush for tonight or for baseball?
That's what we just asked.
Okay.
You missed that content.
I did miss that content.
So
Yeah.
I can say it again. No, you was really nervous the first time I went, just because it was all so new.
Yeah.
Never done much outside of baseball. So I think just the newness of it all, like, gave me a big adrenaline rush. Where, like, baseball now, it's, so used to doing it. But tonight, I don't feel as much.
Yeah.
I think because I know
You've
I know
been in
what
the
I'm
setting.
I know what I'm getting into.
Yeah.
Type of thing. So that'll be good.
Yeah. You have note cards? You're gonna like read the note cards like the
Right here, brother.
Look at my live stream partner.
look at that.
Look at that little fella.
He's pretty cute.
He's pretty cute. You gotta zoom in on him. Let people see him.
No, he's small. He's
What we got? How's the
obviously
game going?
really small.
Ooh.
It's been going great if you're an Atlanta fan. So the vast majority of the country is very happy right now, I think.
Yeah.
The entire country except
That's-
for Houston.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be some Astros fans elsewhere, or people that just dislike the Braves, right? Who is the
Who's
Braves' biggest
the
rival?
Mets?
Mets. There's probably a lot of Mets fans that don't want the Braves to win.
I would be curious how many Mets fans don't want the Braves because it's like the lesser of two evils, right?
I guess, but the Mets don't really have anything against the Astros, right? I
But
mean,
everyone
baseball
does.
against the Astros. I get that, but like, I don't know. Bang, Brantley just raking.
What else is new?
It's just a constant.
Who started for Atlanta now?
Morton, he's already out.
Did he get hurt?
I don't know.
Why did they already? Wait, that's
Getting ready to say why he's mentor in the third.
Oh yeah.
What you got on the plaid?
Oh,
on the plaid.
that didn't look
Your
good.
plaid.
My plaid, yeah. Do I look like a youth pastor?
It's like a.
Is that what a youth pastor wears?
It's
Yeah.
kind
I'm
of
a
like
Jew, I don't know.
thicker
Well, plaid's a
material.
big hit in the Christian community.
Really?
It is,
Fun
yeah,
fact.
Why?
yeah.
I don't know why.
I'm not sure either, but you're right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Really?
I
Yeah.
don't know if Christ wore plaid. I'm not really sure. I'm from like the Bible Belt, and everyone wears plaid.
Interesting.
Yeah. I was thinking
Learn
either like
something new.
youth pastor or like middle-aged soccer mom between this and like the haircut.
Is that how middle-aged soccer mom has her hair?
If they got the raw end of a divorce, yeah. Get my warm-ups out of the way now.
That's right. How long is your skit?
The one I'm going to do tonight's about 5 or 6 minutes. All in all, I probably have. If I had to unleash everything, I probably have 15 minutes.
Gotcha. What is the slot that you get at the open mic? Do they have like time slots, or is it just?
So I went the first time, and what I did is they do the first 10 people sign up. They get to sign their name on a little ticket, put their ticket in a hat. And then the host for that night, there's a host each night of the week. So the guy this night, his name's Patrick, he grabs the hat, shakes it up, and grabs the top 3 names. Those 3 people are open micers, and they get a 5-minute slot.
5 minutes.
And then, so it's pretty much staggered people that you'll have an open micer, and then you'll have someone that's already pre-set to be there. So like just a comedian like coming in to like get their work in. So I tried the open mic thing the first night, didn't get picked. So talked with a bunch of the people down at Rick Bronson's and explained to them that I'm a pro athlete, looking to do some content creation. So I'm going to be doing some 5-minute sets there for the foreseeable future.
Sick.
If all goes well. You know.
How long does it take you to develop a 5-minute set? 'Cause you say you have like basically 3 5-minute sets that you could do right now if you pulled everything out.
Well, I mean, I get a lot of stuff from like conversations that we have in here. Like,
Yeah.
you know, when we're done training and we're just kicking ideas around or like stuff that we had to go through, just like day-to-day bullshit that like everyone faces, like dealing with like a mechanic that's trying to screw you over or whatever, or, you know, having an awkward interaction at like the grocery store and just kind of thinking about it, letting that play out in front of you, and then just figuring out how you can get that and basically blend these things together so you can piece 5 minutes worth of material.
Yeah.
If my youngest, if Joey
100%.
was like just took all his awkward interactions and moments in life, I mean, he could be an incredible stand-up comedian. Just completely self-deprecating.
All he would have to do is play the video of him just standing there and then just wiping out.
Everyone got to see it on my vlog. But that is just Joey's life in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Is just life, just shitting on him nonstop. And he just rolls with it. He's like, yeah, that's my life.
Life's too short to not laugh at yourself.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You know, we're in a day and age now where people are taking themselves a little bit too serious.
That's a fact.
Have a little bit more fun, laugh at ourselves.
Facts.
Life's too hard. Let's not make it harder.
Yeah, you're saying like you're a comedian, right? But you're over here philosophizing, philosophicating.
Maybe I'm Aristotle reincarnated. I don't know.
Aristotle reincarnated.
Maybe he just came back as a minor league reliever. Who would have thought?
Why is this the like cover of that I have right now? You like Baby Yoda.
I'm just checking myself.
Yeah,
That's right.
I mean,
Plaid looks phenomenal.
With
if I
these
may
with these lighting, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's definitely the purple is definitely playing in my favor.
Yeah.
I'm piecing out on the live stream.
All right. See ya.
Yep.
Good luck.
Hey, thank you, sir.
I'll be getting my camera back and watching it, so I'll judge you secretly, not to your face.
You see all these different numbers, you dig through the numbers, you see stuff like hitting just.
where are you finding these thumbnails of little kids playing baseball?
I just go to YouTube or I go to Google and I type in like youth pitcher and I just pick an image. It's the lowest hanging fruit. It's the easiest, like quickest thing to do to get the content up for the people, you know?
All right.
Then I don't have to come over here and like set up a photo shoot for like random youth people to like do, you know?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Like for you, I'm gonna just use pictures of you. I'll go to your Instagram and just take pictures of you and for the content.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about like some of the thumbnails are tough. Like what is laminar flow in baseball? Like how do you put an image of like laminar flow on?
I mean, you could, but how do you put a clickbaity image? Because we know that's only clickbaity images.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you got to get the people to watch the content.
Anyone watching? I don't think someone's watching laminar flow based on your picture.
Yeah, because it was a bad picture. But if it was a good picture, like that one was more informational. So what is laminar flow in baseball? You know, there's a certain subset of people that are going to go to click that.
Exactly.
But like, I could say, youth pitcher should throw inside, or I can say, like, you need to do this.
You should give a class on how to make.
Master class on YouTube thumbnails.
Yeah.
Clickbait thumbnails. Is that what the people want?
I don't know, but
Game-changing cardio at a new game-changing price. The original Peloton bike, now $39 a month. All access membership separate.
Oh, the people want headbands. They're coming, people. Don't worry. Don't worry. The headbands are coming. You need to DM
which
Chalupa.
ones are coming?
These ones. What other ones do I have?
Okay, good.
If you want headbands, though, you got to DM Chalupa and tell her we want headbands. Blow her up on Instagram.
Thank you. That's what I live for.
You want everything to be on autopilot. And be prepared if anything changes. I'll be right here. With IBM, you can do both. Your business can bring data together across your clouds, from suppliers to shippers to the factory floor.
Somebody asked on here how CBA negotiations will impact upcoming free agent signings.
It's a great
I
topic.
know.
That's why so many businesses work.
They will. They sure will. I mean, thank God that like this isn't. I mean, you had COVID-19, but like, yeah, that's something that they're gonna have to deal with. Because unless it's like, it'll just depend on if we get a deal done quickly, but I don't necessarily think we will, which means it's going to drag on because teams are going to want to wait and see how things play out.
There's a lot in flux.
Yeah. And not to mention, they'll use it as a way to like, look, like we don't know what the CBA is, so we're not going to commit to anything. And regardless, it's going to make players really anxious.
Yes.
Because
they're going to try to weaponize that part of it for sure.
No doubt, because even on a normal season, they drag it out to make players anxious, and then because once you get close to season starting, a team if they don't have you signed yet, even if they're planning on like we're gonna make an offer, and they still have a couple other guys of depth that can fill your position, right? So like they can continue on, but like the player himself doesn't have a job; he's literally unemployed. So the player's gonna cave usually first and feel like, all right, I'm gonna lower my number.
So now we're
So
not
now-
going to know if there's baseball. Well, the deadline's what? December 1st, right? Is when the current CBA
It used to be
expires.
middle of the season,
Yeah.
but then they changed that because then you would have like half the season played.
Yeah. So December 1st, but if they don't get a deal done by then, they still have before spring training, right, to work out a deal. There's
Yeah.
still like up
Yeah.
until like when spring training would start.
But so like there will be a lockout before there can't be a strike. A strike could have only occurred when
There's
when it
supposed
was
to be
negotiated
games.
in season. Yeah.
Right.
So if you don't have an agreement, you won't have season, which means players aren't playing, so they can't strike. So you would have a lockout.
Yeah.
So owners lock the players out.
So players, even if they wanted to show up to work, couldn't show up to
Yeah.
work because the doors are closed. Versus a strike when the
Players-
doors to work are open, but the players just don't
Right.
show up. There's really
You
materially
could have
no.
you could have a lockout mid-season too. Owners could say,
Yeah.
no, screw this, like we're locking the doors. But like players cannot like actually strike if the doors aren't open to begin with.
Yeah. But materially, there's no other difference, right? It's the
Yeah,
same,
it's the same
the
thing.
same effect of like baseball is not happening.
All right.
Yeah. So how does that affect like what you do? Do you have to change strategy? Is there like the other conversations you're having with a team? Like, how does that change anything, or you just kind of go about your negotiations as normal?
I mean, you kind of have to go as normal. It's just there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty, and so like things are just going to be delayed and more frustrating. I think it was more impactful for the year before, like your year, because it was like you think about potentially next year there could be a shorter season, and so like how do you structure the deal, right? Like because some players want less money that year, right? In case there's that. Are you guys leaving? Are you guys leaving? My guy. All right. YouTube, I've been replaced by Baby Yoda.
Oh, you're going to the comedy.
I have to
Comedy
go
show.
support my client.
Of course you do. Yeah.
But Baby Yoda will sit in.
All right.
Are you
I'll
live streaming
interview-
the entire game?
I'll interview Baby Yoda. So
Yeah, he'll have a lot to say. He's really small like me. He's so cute. Okay. Not even mad about it.
I'm surprised you're not taking Baby Yoda with you.
Should I? You want me to bring Baby Yoda? Oh yeah, I'm gonna bring Baby Yoda.
All right.
I'll be back.
All right. Good luck, y'all.
When they got Jeff Peterson, that sent the message to the clubhouse that they still believed in this team, and they ended up winning their division by 6.5 games over Philly. And they got some more just to add to the depth and to put them in position to mix and match. Good pitch by Odorizzi to strikeout. Begins the fourth. But what happens as the Braves season unfolds, a lot of them weren't having great years at the time, maybe the ball.
Yes, it's on the tripod. I've been wondering whose phone that was. You were filming your dunks, yeah. Now you can't find your phone. I got you. You as well. You're swinging back by here? Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
Not much with regard to what it cost Atlanta, huh?
Absolutely not, Joe. They didn't give up any higher regarded prospects, and all the players they had, there were 6 of them, the payroll additions end up to less than $10 million.
There's a fly ball down in the corner, and it's out of play off the bat of Freeman, straight to. Yeah, last year their issue was.
All right. Well, I'm on my own now.
They didn't have any starting pitching
If you guys have any questions, I'm monitoring the chat, so fire away. I'll try to answer as many of them as possible about the game, about industry, about training, about whatever.
Oh, and 2 on Freddie Freeman with 1 out here in the 4th.
I don't know if the stream's lagging or what, but it's currently 0-2 on Freddie Freeman, top of the 4th. There's 1 out, and Atlanta is up 5-0. At least on my end. Not sure where y'all are at.
Freeman looks surprised to hear strike 3. That's 2 out here in the 4th. Yeah, because there was something. Looked like that's outside strike 3. And that's why I think Freddie looked a little puzzled. Good pitch. 2 out. All these gigs in.
Because I'm not very professional, so I'm just gonna leave Baby Yoda here.
We've seen him that right hand, now we see him left-handed.
All right, I got a buddy.
Kicks it, and Albies is on.
I can't
Albies
picture Mike, but
is Albies hurt?
Will likely be the second error in the postseason for Yuli Gurriel. And the speed of Albies has to factor in on that.
All right, I'm gonna change my setup around here real quick. Give me a second.
They've been a tough play. I think they would have made it, and Gurriel are usually pretty good at making these plays, but you know the speed set him up, and that once that ball was hit off his heels, he wasn't going to make the play after that. Really learned how to play first base when he came here from Cuba. Third baseman, star player in Cuba, really taking to first base well. Probably an underrated defensive first baseman, makes the error. And a check on Albies has really had a big lead on that check by Odorizzi. Austin Riley with an RBI double, then struck out with the bases loaded in the 2nd. Everybody has a hot and cold zone, and when you look at it as a starter, you're going to look at film and you're going to go, okay, where can I get him out? Well, that's not where you get him out. The ability to hit right now down in the zone is his kryptonite. That's the one area you can expose Riley. But he's cut down the areas you can go to. Last year, more areas to go to. This year, less. That's why he's having the year he's having. The words of manager Brian Snitker. I asked him about Riley really coming of age here in 2021. He said he really stuck with himself. He didn't give up on himself. He said he stayed with himself the way we stayed with him. They just kept running out there, and eventually he put it all together in the second half. He did a great job, Joe, in spring training, working with Chipper, like I mentioned, and just disciplined himself to stay away from that slider off the plate. That's where they were getting him at, exposing him. Once you get exposed, every pitcher goes there. So you made the change. He made the change. Now things are trying to feel a lot different. Odorizzi trying to pitch around the 2-out error by Gurriel. One ball, 2 strikes. Bottom of the inning, the Astros will have Correa, Tucker, and Gurriel. Down by at least 5. Braves have scored in every half inning so far. They've been to the plate. Odorizzi trying to change that. See, that's one of the examples. That pitch was off the plate, and it's possible last year he could have swung at that. He wasn't keeping his front side on, and he was expanding the zone away. And now it just looks differently because he's put that work in. He'll still swing at him because pitchers have the ability to make that look like a strike, but not as much. 2-2 now. Another good take by Austin Riley, and it's a full count. The dangerous Eddie Rosario on deck. Astros cut up. Down by 5.
We are the Eternals. The Avengers of War, Spider-Man, Athena.
All right, how's this? Is the audio better? I think I turned the wrong mic off last time. Awesome. All right. I gotta catch up on the questions here. Let's see what we got.
The new iPhone 13 Pro is here with the most advanced iPhone camera ever, and I got it at T-Mobile.
Grogu's getting all the love. You guys want Grogu back? Is that the desire of the chat? Bring Yoda back?
What do you say? Switch to T-Mobile? Oh, love with iPhone. Get it on us now and upgrade every 2 years forever. Only T-Mobile. Come on.
Okay, that's a good question. Do I learn anything ever from watching games? And the answer is yes, if you are watching critically. There's a difference between just watching a game and kind of being checked out. You're on your phone, you're with some friends, you're just watching, oh, a big moment, wow. You don't really learn anything that way. But if you're watching critically, if you're looking at a sequence of a pitcher, if you're like, okay, he just threw a fastball up and now he's going to throw a breaking ball, and what did the hitter respond to? Is the hitter late on fastballs or is he early on fastballs? So is he pulling a fastball down the line or what? Is this guy hot? Well, what if he's hot? What is he hitting? Is he hitting everything? Is he hitting a certain location, a certain pitch type, a righty or a lefty? Like, if you're looking that way at a game, if you're watching it for that purpose, if you're asking yourself questions and trying to solve them in the course of the game, you can learn a lot. And even I can learn a lot from continuing to watch that way. There's a lot of things that I see where I'm like, oh, I think that I would throw this pitch, I would throw that pitch, and then they throw that pitch and it gets hit. I'm like, okay, now why did that happen? Why would I have thrown that pitch and it gotten hit? Is there something I can learn from the hitter's body language? Maybe is the hitter also thinking that? So am I predictable? Those types of things. So I think that anyone can learn from watching baseball if you are asking yourself questions and trying to figure them out and coming up with hypotheses and then seeing if those play out. And it doesn't even have to be just in one moment. You can say, oh, wow, like I noticed that this pitcher is behind a lot. Like he seems to be missing just off the plate. What if he threw the ball down the middle first pitch to get ahead? Like, okay, well, let me watch for all middle pitches and take notes on how many middle pitches get hit hard or don't get hit. Let me watch for how often successful pitchers, guys that are going 5 or 6 innings in a start, let's say, how often are they ahead versus how often are they behind? Okay, well, when they are ahead, how are they getting ahead? Is it a breaking ball in the middle of the zone, or is it they just have really good command and they're hitting the corners all night? There's all sorts of different questions that you can learn. Same thing on the hitting side. I talk about things because I'm a pitcher. I talk about things from the pitching perspective. But if you can ask yourself those questions and test those hypotheses throughout the game, you can learn a ton with any baseball game that you watch.
Talk about the big 3 left-handers for the Braves in their bullpen. They held the Dodgers to 4 for 50 in that NLCS. Minter, Matzik, the closer Will Smith. 1-1. 1-2.
Let's see what else you guys got for me.
And Smith is that bottom line.
Okay, can I explain how I learned the concept of tunneling? I learned it from Perry Husband and his books on effective velocity. I learned that back in, I don't know, 09 or 2010, something like that. I forget exactly what year it was when I started, when I met and started working with Perry, but he's really the one that deserves all the credit for the tunneling concept, because he was years and years ahead of the industry, really. He came up with the concept, at least that I know of. I hadn't heard anyone else talk about it before his books on it. So I got to give all the credit there to Perry Husband. And then how I've practiced it, well, as technology has evolved over the course of time, it gets a lot easier to practice it. Learning how to do video overlays back then was difficult. Learning how to get the footage from the right angle was a little bit difficult. What camera are you going to use? It wasn't as easy as just setting up your phone on a tripod, because phones didn't have video cameras that were worth anything back then. But nowadays you can just set up your phone on a tripod from an angle, and then you can just on iMovie, I think, on your phone, or you can get another video editor on your phone and just put the two videos over top and just see if the pitches overlay, if they tunnel well together or not. And then you can, if they do tunnel well together, you can just look at, well, where did this pitch end? Like, let's say you throw a fastball and a curveball. Well, where did the fastball end up and where did the curveball end up? And I know that if I throw those pitches to those locations, and I get them to the locations, they're going to tunnel well. And it's a pretty simple process nowadays. But back in the day, it was a lot more difficult, and there's a lot more research and development that had to go into it to figure out how to do it, what we were looking for, what was effective. What are the different angles? Do you video from behind the mound? Do you video from the batter's box? How do things change between the right-handed batter's box and the left-handed batter's box? Some pitches tunnel to righties that don't tunnel to lefties, and vice versa. So going through that whole learning process was important, and I learned a lot through it. My dad and I went through it and learned a lot. And I would encourage everyone that's interested in the concept to do the same thing and to do that type of work and to put the camera in different angles and to learn about why certain things look certain ways on video but may not look that way to a hitter. And there's still a lot to be learned on hitter vision once we are able to track a hitter's vision, and once we're able to get a camera on a hitter's helmet, let's say, or stuff like that. There's still a long way to go there, but a lot of it has also been figured out and been learned and is being applied in big league games. And you'll hear them talk about it all the time on the broadcast. They have a base level understanding of it, but that's better than the most understanding, let's say, 10 years ago. So just like technology in the world in general, it evolves and knowledge gets picked up and it accelerates, and then everybody knows it and you're on to some new frontier. So that's kind of my history with tunneling, though. Hopefully I answered the question. That's a good question. My diet, speaking of that, I need to get some food because it's time that I eat again. So I'm going to pop over and warm something up, and then I'll tell you guys about what my diet is. Give me a second.
Tucker, able to get a big lead, always way off the bag. Swanson, way off the bag at short. So Minter gives him a look now, the other two to Curry. Tucker had to hold his first and third one. So he does, he made the mistake he needs to make. And that was a two-strike mistake. Curveballs, the only pitches falters against left-handed pitching. Watch where this location is. That is money to him. Remember the change-up, but the change-up got up, and Tucker had to make sure down 5-0. He didn't do anything crazy. When Jake Myers was not available in the NLCS after the injury in Game 4 of the Division Series, we asked Dusty Baker about Chad McCormick. He said he's not scared. He's from Philly. He can swing hard, too, that's for sure. Straight one. He's getting close. He wraps that bat. You see how late he was to get to that ball. We've seen Fastball can get on him as a left-hander who has good arm and can power the ball by him a little bit. He'd rather hit a sinker Then the 4-seam fastball takes that a swing point. That swing point is a sinker right up his alley. A 1 from pitcher. McCormick 6 out of 20 this postseason, 1 RBI.
Okay, so my diet, I eat 5 times a day, plus some protein shakes and a morning drink. I have a supplement plan that it's based on blood work and gets me into the right ranges on different micronutrients and different vitamins. Also has like a gut restoration component to it. Oh man, an error. Wow. Astros going to get back into it this inning. Wheels are spinning a little bit here for Atlanta. That was a double play ball. They should have been out of the inning. Anyway, I don't have like a specific type of diet per se, like pescatarian or vegan or carnivore or whatever. All of my dieting recommendations are based on my blood work. So I get like 3 or 4 different blood panels. So you look at food allergies, you look at inflammation markers, you look at micronutrients, and then obviously all the typical stuff like calories burned and how often you're working out, what is your schedule going to be like, and this, that, and the other. And then we come up with a plan. What are your goals? You want to add muscle, lose muscle, add fat, lose fat, gain weight in general, lean, whatever. So we come up with a plan on that, and then we look at the blood work, and then that all gets put into a diet plan. And then I have a meal delivery service that I order, and they every morning drop off 5 meals to my doorstep. And then I basically have those in little containers, and I'm able to warm them up in the microwave or on the stovetop or whatever the case is, wherever I may be. And that way I can eat consistently throughout the day. And I know that the food's organic, and I know that all the calories and micronutrients and fibers and carbs and proteins and all the different stuff is in the range that I need it to be. And it really simplifies things for me. And that's actually something that, for the longest time I tried to cook and meal prep for myself, and I'd spend a ton of time doing it. And Rachel was actually like, why do you do this? You just need to get a service that does this for you. You have way more time to do other stuff that's more productive with your time. So she hammered on me for like 2 years before I finally actually did it. And yeah, she was right. Probably should have done it a lot earlier, but I'm going to grab my food now. Be right back.
So you'll get this one. He almost missed it. Of course, Maldonado, anything on the ground that isn't against the ship. He's definitely a double play candidate. Chavez getting loose. Martin Maldonado 2 for 30 this postseason, 1 RBI. Next spot here is the Astros trying to get closer, down by 4 now.
All right, so we got some Dijon and herb crusted chicken. We got some rice with some cranberries in it, a little bit of a vegetable medley, some corns, some grains, some beans, stuff like that. And then we have watercress. What are these? I don't know. Some veggies of some sort. So that's what we're working with for this meal.
Raise that average.
Oh man, Maldonado had a lot of chances at bat.
And now Jose Altuve with his 21 career postseason home runs. Walking to the plate, let's check in with Tom Brady.
You know, hitters, kind of like carpenters, they're very particular about their tools. You might notice Jose Altuve using a different colored bat here in the World Series than he did in the LCS when he hit 2 home runs. He said it all depends how well I'm swinging it. I didn't
what do I think someone who is 15 should be eating and how many times a day? When you're 15, you're basically on a natural cycle of steroids because you're going through puberty. So you have elevated levels of testosterone and elevated levels of growth hormone and elevated levels of everything, and you recover extremely quickly. And it really doesn't matter what you're eating at that age, other than the calorie considerations. So if you're trying to gain weight, then you just need to eat a bunch of calories. And I'm not a nutritionist, so don't take my advice for gospel, but practically speaking, just make sure you're getting enough calories so that you can continue growing, that you can continue adding muscle, you can continue strengthening the tendons and connective tissue and all that different stuff. It's really a calorie game at that point. And then once you kind of are done with puberty and you get into your 20s, that's really when the quality of nutrition is super important. At least in my experience and my point of view. And again, like I said, I'm not a nutritionist and I don't know this stuff scientifically. So take it with a grain of salt, but that's what I would say.
You never heard that? Well, sausage chips are pretty neat. There's bits of sausage and amazing flavors like yummy and chorizo. You can find this medium or thick, even though it's sausage.
Hey guys, Lori. I'm basically just speaking of my partner.
Get 1.9% APR for 60 months from the Tucson, or get up to $500 in bonus cash. Only Your Valley Hyundai.
Healthy homes Warren Valley is your family's well-being and wants to make your house a happy, healthy home. Shelter Home is next day installation and our warranty guarantee is new person free fixture. Our biggest promotion ever is 60% off carpet and flooring. Get 60% off padding and material and get 60% off installation. This sale is for a limited time only.
Eddie Rosario, first down coming into the game. The Fox Bet Sportsbook app had Eddie Rosario plus 350 to the home run tonight. That means a $10 bet will give you back $45 if he goes deep. He has singled and scored and struck out.
What is my opinion on travel ball? That's a good question. I think travel ball should be looked at as a test for training. I think people get it wrong a lot that you get better by playing the game, and you do get better by playing the game, but you get a lot better by practicing. As long as your practice is detailed, it's full of intent, it's structured, it's purposeful, etc. So the way I would look at travel ball is, let's play a tournament a month, let's say, where we can train and practice for a month and then go test our new skills and get some feedback. Like, okay, what happened in this tournament? We played 6 games in 3 days. Like, what happened here? Did I have the bat speed that I've been working on? Did I throw more strikes or less strikes? Whatever the skill is that you're working on. Okay, now let's go back and design our practice for the next month to reflect the needs that I have. Do I still need to work on command? Okay, let's go back and keep working on it. But was our process efficient? Or I was trying to hit the ball in the air more, but all I did was hit ground balls. So, what can I change? Like, maybe our process hasn't really worked. So I think that's how it should be run. Instead, it's run like, let's go play 8 games in 3 days every single weekend, and we have to win. And so we're gonna pitch our best guy 20 innings in 3 days, and we're gonna and that stuff is just not important at age 8 or age 10 or age 12. Now, it's a good experience to be winning for the players. Of course, you want to win, you don't want to lose, but I look back on it, and I don't remember really any of the tournaments I played in or whether we won or we lost. You make friends playing travel ball. You enjoy playing the game. You get good experiences. Like the things I remember most are the times in between games when I would go catch a movie with my dad, or we'd go to the bowling alley, or we'd do something because we had a game at 8 a.m. and not again until 4. And so we had to find something to do in between. It's those experiences with my parents, with my teammates, that I remember more so than any of the individual games, or, you know, if I gave up a homer or won the game or won the tournament or a trophy that I won or didn't win. But I also kind of followed the guideline that I just laid out. I practiced a lot. I played a lot too, but I just practiced a lot in between. So I always had something that I was able to test come game time, and we were able to see if I was making progress or not and adjust our process. But I think travel ball's gotten way too it's gotten overboard. I think that adults have figured out that there's money to be made there on youth sports, and it's not the best for the kids. So no, I'm not putting anyone down on that front. I'm all for, you know, capitalism and going and making money and developing industries and whatever the case is. So not trying to denigrate anybody, but if you're just looking at from a father's perspective or from a mother's perspective and looking at the best interest of your kid, that's kind of how I'm approaching that question. So just to clarify that, but yeah, hopefully that answered your question.
He'll be highly sought after leading into next season. 3 balls, 2 strikes now on the ball. Got him on the corner, the ball strikes out, 2 out. 4 strikeouts, 5 outs that Odorizzi's picked up. Follow all the action of the World Series with the MLB app from real-time tracking of every pitch, so you can get analysis of the game. Download the MLB app today to make this World Series major. Don't know. The Braves offense now is what the Houston offense is capable of. Certainly sitting on 5 runs may not get it done. And there's certainly enough time for the Astros. Odorizzi's been painting the corners so far on his outing.
Thoughts on pro wiffle ball and would I do some for content? Absolutely. Absolutely, I would. Pro wiffle ball looks so fun. I'd probably suck at it, honestly. I think pro wiffle ball players would definitely dominate me. Respect to those guys, honestly. The pitchers that are making the ball move all over the place and know the different grips and the arm angles, and the hitters that can actually hit that stuff. It's nasty. A lot of respect out there, and it just looks super fun. And that's really what it's all about. So, yeah, I'm hoping to do some wiffle ball stuff, whether it's blitz ball, wiffle ball, something like that. Eric Sim and I are going to be doing some stuff in that realm this off season. So stay tuned for that. Definitely looking to collaborate with some people. So if you guys are pro wiffle ball players in and around the West Coast, I guess shoot me a DM on Instagram, and I'll check those over the next couple of days, and we can try to line something up, because yeah, wiffle ball looks super fun. I'm definitely down.
Astros batting down 4. Let's do this. Before you get the game, make sure your stats are up to date.
I have seen Major League Wiffle Ball on YouTube. Yes, I've watched a couple of their videos. Love what they're doing. It's great.
the All-State. So we just lowered our auto rates. And saving like that, follow you every year. Now, if you lower auto rates with All-State, costs a whole lot less. Feel good with All-State. Give a call for a lower auto rate today.
Who's got the best fans? That's a very good question. Let's put up a poll. Come on, England.
Does long toss increase velocity? I've actually posted a couple videos from prior live streams with my dad and someone that I did with Zach Hess talking about how to gain velocity in high school and stuff. They're on the channel under the playlist Tips with Trev. So I'd encourage you to go check those videos out because I think there's some pretty good discussions in there that'll probably help you out. Definitely some stuff about long toss in the recent videos what I did with my dad. So go check those out.
That's how we take care of our most valuable asset. Our people. It may sound cheesy, but we like it that way. Let's see you a while.
Do I have any superstitions? Nope. No superstitions for me. And I'm not a golfer. I've taken exactly one shot on a golf course in my life. It was a guest putt, and I overshot the hole by about 20 feet, and I've not done anything else on a golf course in my entire life. So probably the worst golfer that you know. I get asked this question a lot. What's one thing I would change about the game today? I'm personally a fan of the universal DH. And I'm not trying to speak for anybody else, but I would change that. That's a low-hanging one. But the majority of the things that I would change about the game are related to how the game is marketed, how the product is packaged, so to speak. You know, if you walk down a store aisle and you see a product, you have no idea how good that product is or isn't. Your first impression of it is the packaging. And you might read some stuff about what the product does. You might read the description. You might look at the instructions. You may even go home and Google or search around for comparisons with this product versus that product. But at the end of the day, you really have no experience with it until you buy it. But what gets your attention in the first place is the packaging. And I think baseball could do a better job of the packaging of the game. The packaging in this case would be how the game is marketed on, let's say, YouTube, how accessible the games are to watch, whether it's on the MLB app or local TV providers. Like blackouts are a really bad thing for fan engagement. Trying unique new things at the game. Like one of the things that the NFL did this year was the Nickelodeon game. I thought that was extremely creative and extremely well executed and great for fan engagement because it's not attacking, but it's targeting a new demographic, young kids, to get them involved in football and stuff like that. I think there's some things that baseball could do there. Baseball should be the most marketable sport because you have the most players when you count for the roster size in the big leagues and also the minor leagues, and you also have the most games. So and you have the most diversity, maybe besides hockey. I don't know. Hockey's pretty diverse with talent from around the world. Basketball is getting there now too. but you just don't have the roster sizes in basketball that you do in baseball. But in baseball, at any given time in a clubhouse, you might have 6 lockers next to each other. Someone from Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Canada, United States, Australia, Japan, Korea, Brazil, Germany. Like you have players from all over the world, diverse cultures, diverse backgrounds, diverse personalities, and you have the most airtime of any major sport because there's so many games. It should be the most marketable, but it's not for some reason. And I think the way that it's packaged, deliver content more on YouTube, on social media. Now MLB is stepping up their game in the recent years on that front, which is good to see. Some stuff like the Nickelodeon game with the NFL, I think that would be really creative. Lean into new technologies, like let's just put a 360 camera above the dugout in a seat. And then have a streaming pass where you're able to wear a virtual reality headset and sit in your apartment, in your house, in your living room, wherever, and look around, and you can see the virtual fans next to you. You can see the game. You can interact like that. Options like that could bring in new fans. I think fan engagement in the stadiums could be done a lot better. There's this technology out there that can recreate a pitch in a virtual reality headset in a couple of seconds. So you can actually watch a play happen, and then in the middle of the half inning, you can go step in the box and see what it was like for your favorite player to hit the home run, or to see your favorite player throw the pitch, or whatever the case is. There's a lot of unique things out there that could be done. Also, the announcers are part of the packaging, and I think that if you think about NBA, if you think about NFL, think about the favorite announcers that you hear. Like NFL, it's Tony Romo for a lot of people. Well, he's very positive about the players. He's very positive about the product. He's giving a lot of insight about it. You have announcers in the NBA that are very positive about the product that's on the court that's being displayed to the fans. They're excited about the action that's going on. Now, baseball is hard to be as excited as like hockey, let's say, or F1 or basketball, because there's less action to the product, but there's a lot more time to be educational about it. There's a lot more time to tell stories about the players. That's one thing that the UFC does extremely well. They build personalities, they build stars, because they tell the story. That everything is story based to them. Why is this fight happening? Why is this person a fighter? What are they fighting for? What is the beef between these two people? How did we get to this point? It's all story based, and that's what sells to the consumer is story. And I think baseball could do a lot better job of telling stories about the players and about the people that are involved. So those are just some ideas kind of off the top of my head about things that I would change about the game, but almost none of them, if you notice, are about the game itself, because I think the game itself is being played at the highest level it's ever been played at. I think the players are better now than they ever have been. And I just don't think that some of that is being transmitted to the audience as well, where the audience understands why the players are so good, why some of these things are happening, and what they're even looking for. So those are my thoughts on that front.
I would say so. You mentioned the job. He's gassed, and he's pitching an empty tank, trying to just get one more hitter. That's probably all he's got. That'll be the last batter he faces, and he will get incredible battable when he gets back to the dugout. Alvarez trying to chase it here in the fifth inning, strike one. 42 pitches is the big league career high for A.J. Mitchell. This will be pitch number 40. Bone is next, is what they say to most pitchers when you're out there extending. He pulls Alvarez, strike two.
Who's going to win F1 title? Max. Max has got it up. What's he up now? 13 points with 5 races to go. Obviously, a lot could swing, but you just got to avoid the do not finish, and he should be good. Although I think there's probably some more crashes coming as Lewis tries to get aggressive to catch up. But, man, the last race was so entertaining. Lewis trying to chase down Max and getting close, and it was so good. I enjoyed that.
Rodon walked against the starter, Charlie Morton. Mentors going through these guys for a second.
Do I watch UFC frequently? If so, who are some of your favorite fighters? I do watch it frequently. I love Conor McGregor. I don't think that's a secret. Izzy Adesanya. I really like John Jones early in his career. Obviously, before all of his time off, I guess. He also was just a much more dynamic and exciting fighter, I thought, early in his career. Not taking anything away from him. He's probably the greatest to ever do it. I love Max Holloway. I just think that he's like, I love his attitude. The skill set there. Game Bread and Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, for those who don't know who Game Bread is. They're super entertaining. I like Jose Aldo a lot. Sugar Sean O'Malley. Sugar Sean's great. I think he's just so dialed in on promotion and understanding, his spot in the sport and how to maximize that and entertain the fans and stuff like that. He's one of my favorites for sure. Stipe, I like Stipe a lot for different reasons. I think he's a great guy. I had a chance to meet him in Cleveland. I think he gets no love from people, and I think it's super unfortunate, but great fighter. Derek Lewis, hilarious. Great follow on social media, great interview. So I like being entertained. I think that a lot of fans would agree that when you tune in to see a sporting event, you want to be entertained, whether it's be entertained by the action or be entertained by the commentators or be entertained by the friends that you're with or the atmosphere that you're in if you go to see the sporting event. So I'm a fan of people that can mix entertainment with the actual skill. And it's something that's very hard to do. But the people that can pull that off, that can entertain while competing at the highest level are favorites of mine. I like to study them and see what they do, and I learn a lot from them.
I know the best public podcast. I can make a rusty car feel modern. I am a guy who forget. I can make an indoorsy person outdoors.
When did I get so involved in analytics? So my dad's an engineer. So he raised me with an engineering mindset. So all of my training was like, where are you now? Where do you want to be? Design a process to get there and then evaluate how the process is going and iterate through that. So I had a little bit of it in that, just kind of growing up with that mindset. But really it was ninth grade. I took a physics class with Professor Kirby, Martin Kirby. And I still remember the class. It was probably my favorite class that I ever took because he just made it so fun. He just some of the problems that he posed. He's a British guy from over in England, came to the States, and I don't know. I really enjoyed that class and learning about Newtonian physics for the first time and how baseballs or objects would travel through the air. Kind of made me think about baseballs traveling through the air and how can I influence the spin this way and mechanics that and torque this and lever arms that. And I started getting into it in that capacity. And then it just grew from there. So really I was probably 14 when I first started on the analytics direction on that path. And obviously it's probably the only reason that I'm a big leaguer now, because I'm certainly not naturally athletic. And I probably never would have developed the way that I have without the use of that process and those analytics and that mindset. So, yeah, Martin Kirby, the reason I'm a big leaguer.
Was on the short list to make the game 4 start. Even if it would be The Astros won that game 9-2. Well, just like you did the other game, provided some valuable innings, but he is outstanding. Just picking each side of the plate, taking a little off, cutting it, splitting it, waiting for that big inning for the offense.
Okay. Whoever asked what I'm getting on the Joe Rogan Experience, I'm trying. I've been trying for like 3 years. I don't think Joe's ever had a baseball player on. I don't think he's too interested in baseball from what I understand. But y'all should hit him up wherever he's findable and tell him to get me on. I'd love to do the Jerry. But yeah, it's an exclusive club of people. I don't know if I'm big enough to get on there or not.
Is going to get the ball tomorrow for the Astros. Coming off that start that he made in game 3 of the ALCS.
For those of you asking who or how I would pitch to Javi Baez, I believe I have a video on the channel breaking down some at-bats against Javi. I think I made that video. So I would say check the channel because I explain a lot more in depth on there.
He had a tough start there against the Dodgers, but he was awesome in the second half. Key for the Astros knows how to pitch and mix it up. 3-2 from the right-hander Odorizzi here in the 6th inning with one out, nobody on. Swanson.
Base hit for Swanson. Get you some, Dansby. Yeah, I think I have a ton to talk to Joe Rogan about, honestly. Just from like training aspects, I think he could talk about training in MMA, and I could talk about it in baseball and some of the analytics side of things. The fight game, I follow the fight game quite a bit. Marketing and stuff in general, life in general. Like I think it would be a really interesting conversation, and baseball wouldn't have to come up at all, which I know he would be a fan of. So, yeah. I need the people to hit up Joe and tell him to bring me on the show. That's what I need. I need the people. I need the mandate of the people. As Chael Sonnen always says, it's not about the X's and O's. It's about the mandate of the people. So help me out. How did I get into watching motorsports? It's really just F1. I don't watch a whole lot of other motorsports. Drive to Survive kind of got me back into it, the Netflix show, because they do a pretty good job of telling story about the season. Now, I don't know how accurate they are. I know it's dramatized and, all that stuff. I'm well aware of how the production world works. But that kind of got me back into it. But I was a fan of F1 originally just for the engineering of it. It's one of those cool little niches where you get a bunch of smart people together around some sort of technology, and they just are incentivized to make the coolest, best thing and to innovate. And I love that I love that part of F1. I love those environments. I try to find them to interact in them all the time myself. I like being the dumbest person in the room, so I can learn a lot. And yeah, F1 just seems like, the perfect embodiment of that environment and that culture. So I really am interested in it for that reason. And then, watching the product, watching the technology play out on the racetrack and understanding all the intricacies of it, like the strategy behind it is very interesting to me too. But yeah, that's really why I like F1. Favorite F1 organization? I'm partial to McLaren. I love their street cars, the history of the racing. I don't know. I guess I'm just partial to McLaren. I love Lando. I love Daniel. I think they're both amazing personalities. Never met either of them, but just from what I've seen on their interviews and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't really have a team that I like really dislike. I haven't. It's not like I'm a anti-Mercedes or anti-Ferrari or anything like that. I just like exciting racing. So I'm excited for the new regulations next year that make overtaking a little bit easier, make following cars through corners a little bit easier, because I just like, the battle 2 races ago with Sergio Perez and Lewis Hamilton, where they were like tire to tire and Perez held him off, was just so exciting. So more of that. Yeah, I think that's a good point about liking the drivers individually more than the teams. And I think that's going on in sports in general. You have a Tom Brady fan, you have a Patrick Mahomes fan, but if you're a Tom Brady fan, you're a fan of him with the Patriots or with the Bucks. You have a Kevin Durant fan, you have a Russell Westbrook fan. Like, the way I see society going and entertainment going is like people are fans of personalities, and people specifically, especially those people who open up their lives and show the masses kind of what they're doing. It's interesting. You can't look at Jake Paul or the Paul brothers in general, or the Kardashians, and not come away with the conclusion that people just enjoy watching other people's lives. And I think that the sooner baseball leans into that, the better off they'll be. The sooner they understand that fans are fans of players, not just the team. And increasingly so, they're fans of players and not the team per se. It used to be that, if you lived in Cleveland, you only watched the Indians because they were the only team that was on in your area and on TV. They were only a viewable team. But now TV and streaming and all that stuff is so prevalent and so developed that you can watch any team anywhere, anytime, unless you're blacked out. So it makes it a lot easier for fans to follow their favorite player, even when he gets traded or signs in free agency or whatever the case is. So I think that there's a lot to be said for sports like UFC that focuses on the individual. Now, obviously, it's not a team sport. You know, F1 is not like a team sport per se. But I think there's a lot to be learned there from a popularity of individuals and the players, so to speak, the athletes themselves, and how to make that transition over into baseball. Great play, Bregman. Didn't have a chance at getting Freeman, but that was a great play. Backhand in the hole. I am a Seattle Kraken fan because their launch, their social media launch, their branding, everything was so on point. I'm a fan for that reason. So good point there.
Four-year-old second baseman from Curacao waits for a 1-0. With 2 men on.
Ooh, getting in the danger zone here with Albies.
Those home runs came off the 4-seam fastballs. Love sitting that red and let it fly. And he's up on the count here, 2-0.
Oh, there it is. Shoot it the other way. Nice play, right in the shift. Okay, 5-1. Astros are going to make some noise in this game. They're going to come back. It's going to be closer than 5-1 by the time this thing's all said and done. We'll see when. Should MLB implement a salary cap? No, although a lot of teams kind of already operate with the luxury tax as a salary cap. And they just refuse to go over the luxury tax and they treat it as a cap. But no, I don't believe that MLB should introduce a salary cap at all. I don't think it would be good for the sport. I don't think it'd be good for the players. Yeah. No on salary caps. The salary floor idea is an interesting one. I'm personally in favor of not regulating that. I think what you have to do is you have to incentivize the teams to do the action that you want them to do. So, you know, I don't like over-regulating stuff. Like I don't like the shift. I don't like banning the shift. I think it's over-regulated. But if you align the incentives so that spending money on players to be more competitive is where all the incentives lead to, then the teams will do that. But right now, if you're not going to win the World Series, if you're not going to be competitive in the playoffs, the incentive is to lose a lot of games because then you get draft picks and you can save a bunch of money at the big league level by not paying players, and then you still get revenue sharing from other teams. So you're still making money, and you're making a lot of your money as a team on TV deals that you're getting paid regardless if you win or lose, because those TV deals are 20-year deals, 30-year deals. They're national deals that MLB has made with the national networks. They're also local deals, TV deals in the local area. So you're getting that money regardless. You get revenue sharing, like I said, if you don't win games. So it's like, well, if we're not going to win the World Series, then let's just be bad and we'll still make all this money, but we'll shave our payroll down, because that's obviously the largest expense that a big league team has in a given year is the player salaries. So the incentive is to be bad, and then you get draft picks for it. So not only do you make money and you make better profit, but you also get cheap talent acquisition. You get better draft picks, and then you have control over those players' salaries for 6 years, plus the time that they're in the minor leagues. So, and especially with the way the game is going, a lot of times young players in their second or third year are better players than some of the older players are. So I think if you align the incentives to make the teams, if they're going to get more money and they're going to get more draft picks by winning more games, then I think that would fix some of the problems there. And you wouldn't want to do it where the World Series winner gets the most money and the most draft picks, because obviously you want to have some competitive balance. That's why the revenue sharing and the draft pick structure that is in place right now was originally created. But I do think that if you take, let's say, one idea that I'm a fan of, if you take the team that just missed the playoffs, the best record of the teams that didn't make the playoffs gets the first overall draft pick, and then you go from, I think right now, what is it? 5 teams make the playoffs in each league. Now, if we go to expanded playoffs or something, it might be more. So who knows with the CBA coming up? But let's just say it's 10. So you would take team number 11, they would get the first overall pick, and you'd go down to team 30, and they would get picks basically 1 through 20, and then you'd take the teams, the first team eliminated would get, or the best record of the 2 wild card losers would get picks number 21 and 22, something like that, because then the incentive is to try to win. If you want if you want to lose and you want to spend no money, well, you're only going to get the 20th overall pick, let's say. That's not super compelling, not nearly as compelling as the first overall pick. So I think there's some things that can be done in that way to incentivize teams to win more, where you wouldn't necessarily need a salary floor. You wouldn't necessarily need a salary cap and to overregulate things that way. The incentives would be in line for the teams to win. And I think right now we just are a little bit out of balance with where the incentives are placed.
Never seen so many guys in these each lineups that you don't want to throw a strike to the first pitch. And he's definitely one of them.
I missed what they said about Morton being down for the series. What did they say? I didn't hear what they said. Is it a fracture? Is it what happened to him? I know he got hit in the leg, but is it a break? Do we have information on that? Help me out, chat.
We've seen a lot of them, obviously, over the last couple of weeks. No batting gloves. Commands the strike zone and hangs out line drives. To 4 home runs his postseason debut. Gurriel, one-on-one out. Tucker takes off. Shot. Albies, 2 out. And Ozzie Albies on the other side of the bag gets that short hop pickup and gets the out as Tucker was moving on the pitch. Yeah, Albies had to read. Hangs down line drives. To 4 home runs his postseason debut. Gurriel.
Leg injury for Morton.
On the other side of the bag, gets that short hop pickup.
I wonder if that's a broken leg for Morton, because that's exactly what happened to me. It could be a fractured shin or something. It didn't look great. Hopefully he's all right. He fractured his fibula. Yep. That's exactly what happened to me. When I saw that happen, I was like, "Ooh, I hope that's not what that is." But man, that's a big loss for the Braves.
For his second 2-out, Jazz 0-2, and an RBI his last time up on a ball that was mishandled by the shortstop Swanson. Strike one.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to bring Smiley in. Maybe Kyle Wright, maybe Smiley, but in a 7-game series, you need 4 starters, and now they basically have 2. I mean, they could go a bullpen game depending on. Let's see. So Morton would go. So they have a pitcher for game 2 and game 3. So if they went bullpen game, then they would be down a pitcher for game 5. So you can't really go bullpen game in game 4. You could do a bullpen game in game 5 and have your game 2 starter and game 3 starter back for game 6 and 7. So they'll probably go bullpen game in game 5, which means you need a starter for game 4. So it's going to have to be Morton, or it can't be Morton. It's going to have to be Smiley or Wright, most likely. Game 5. Let's see. If you start game 2, you get off day. Yeah, you wouldn't be. You'd come back on 3 days rest. So that'd be, I think, Fried. Is Fried going game 2? They could potentially bring Fried back for game 5 and go a bullpen day on game 4. But I think depending on how the series goes, you probably just go. You start someone in game 4, bullpen game in game 5, unless you need to win that, and then you would bring your guy back on short rest. So, yeah, they'll need one more starter this series, it seems like.
This big new Saturday on Fox, the stage is set for a hostile top-10 clash as number 6 Michigan Kenneth Walker, number 8 Michigan State. America's best pregame, America's best announcers, America's biggest team. Michigan State, all part of Big News Saturday on Fox and the Fox WhatsApp.
We're going to up score right behind us. I don't know how much time we have for the riots that are coming to us.
Only Monday at 7 Central on Fox or watch anytime.
Who's on top of my strikeout bucket list? I don't have a strikeout bucket list. I mean, I always enjoy matching up with Machado. We have a little bit of a fun thing going on. Acuna is another one. I like picking on the best guys in the league. I think I'd have fun matching up with Soto if I faced him because of his antics in the box, and we could go back and forth on that front. It'd be fun and entertaining. Yeah, I don't know. Miggy was one for a long time. I felt really accomplished if I ever struck Miggy out during his prime when I faced him early in my career when I was in Cleveland. Friends like Jesse Winker. Yeah, I loved striking Wink out. We go back and forth a lot. I don't know. Jose Ramirez. Yeah, Jose. I got him with an eye closed in spring training, telling him exactly what was coming. That's probably my favorite one of all time, honestly. Favorite strikeout of all time, Jose Ramirez with an eye closed, telling him what's coming with heaters, and I got him. I was like 97, 98 in that at bat. That was fun.
Works in the seventh and deals a strike to Austin Riley. Riley, Rosario, and Duvall. Outside. Riley with RBI double in that two-run first. He has struck out twice since.
How much distance, if any, did I lose max effort long toss after dropping my arm slot? That's a good question. Very in depth. When I long toss, I still am like, I kind of shift, I kind of tilt my posture over, so my arm angle is still pretty high. I'm comfortably like, I can throw 350 like pretty darn easily. I was up to 420, I think was my high back in college, but I don't really know the answer because I haven't measured it in years and years. I would guess probably like 50, 60 feet. 50 feet maybe. But yeah, I mean, for side armors and stuff, it doesn't make sense to long toss because you just don't get the carry. So I look at long toss a lot differently now than I did back then. So the overall distance isn't necessarily the important part. It's the training effect that I'm getting out of it and what I'm trying to accomplish. But yeah, I definitely lost some distance. Ooh, the hardest out on the two offenses for this World Series. Freeman is always a difficult out for me. He's a fun at bat because it's a chess game. Bregman's actually a difficult out for me. He's got tremendous knowledge of the strike zone and also game planning, so knowing patterns that I might fall into and stuff like that. Altuve hits me pretty well. Who else? I handle the Braves offense pretty well historically. Rosario rakes against me. Knowing how hot he is, he'd probably be the most difficult out for me this postseason, given how he's going right now. But I think I figured out a little something out against him last couple times I faced him. So yeah, those are the guys that come to mind. How will this offseason routine be different compared to previous off seasons? It's a good question. So I think that I'm kind of past the point where I've got all my strength gains down. I think that there's like a certain threshold that you need to get to of strength to make it through a big league season and to have enough stability and protection for the joints that you don't get hurt. So there's a strength component to just being able to not wear down physically through a season, and there's also a strength component to staying healthy so that you can stay on the field to make it through a season. So there's a certain threshold that you have to get to, and I think that I'm well past that, and I have been for a while. Then, and we were actually talking about this earlier today in the gym, the question is, how do you throw harder? What properties do you have to build, and is there anything that you can do in the weight room to actually build that? You hear a lot of stories about guys that stop lifting and then they all of a sudden start throwing harder. And the question becomes, well, why is that? And is there a way to get the benefits of lifting, of like joint protection and strengthening the tendons and stuff like that, without the detriments of throwing slower, which apparently is a detriment for those guys? You know, DeGrom, I think, is one great example of someone who said that he stopped lifting like 3 or 4 years ago, and his velocity just looks, you know, like a SpaceX rocket taking off. So, it's a question that I don't know that we have the answer to yet. But what I'm focused on this offseason in that capacity is maintaining my current strength levels. I'm not trying to get bigger or stronger, add weight or lose weight or anything like that. I want to maintain where I'm at, but I want to increase the energy reserves that I have. So like if I can red line in a game for, let's say, 10 pitches out of the 100 that I might throw, can I increase that to 20? Can I increase that to 30 or 50 just by having more energy in general? So I'm looking into sleep, nutrition, recovery, nervous system states, a lot of that stuff, a lot of physiology with my body to see how I can increase my energy levels. I also want to increase the elasticity of my upper body. So you're talking about like plyometrics. When you think about plyometrics in the weight room, you think a lot about jumps and lower body stuff, but we don't think about plyometrics on the upper body a whole lot. And so I'm focusing a lot on that stuff. So more power, more speed, kind of returning to what I did in high school a little bit, not all the way there, but blending some strength stuff and some power stuff with some speed and plyometric stuff. And that's basically what my entire offseason is going to be. It's going to be all movement and speed. It's going to be structured around movement and speed so that I can try to get my average velo up. Whereas in prior off seasons, it's been structured a lot around strength, max strength, capacity. So doing, I've had programs where I was doing like 10 by 10 sumo deadlifts, hypertrophy, trying to gain size. And I think that got me to the baselines that I need to be at, but I just don't see how pulling 530 on a deadlift instead of 505 is going to make me any better at baseball. I don't see how bench pressing 260 instead of 235 is going to make me any better at baseball because I don't wear down over the course of the season anymore. And I think that I have all the power that I need to throw hard because I can throw hard. I was up to 98 this season. It's just I can't do that every single pitch. And so that's where the energy stuff comes in. That's where getting a little bit more elastic comes in, stuff like that. So hopefully that answers your question.
Well, that was a walk of a manager who's taking out a pitcher. Mayton is exiting. Darnell is coming up. Stanek coming in.
What are my chances of throwing 100 miles an hour in game? I think I can get there. My max in a game is 99.83. So technically, if you round that up, I've hit 100. I did say 100 on the scoreboard gun in the stadium 3 times. That was back in 2014. But yeah, I think I'll get there. Hopefully, I can figure out over the next couple years some of this training stuff, and I can crack that code. I'm diving into it pretty heavily, but I'm also running out of time from being in my physical prime. Like I guess for most people that lasts between like 27 and 33 years of age. So I'm kind of right in the middle of it. So if I'm going to do it, it's probably going to have to be here in the next 3 or so years. So hopefully next year. But I'd say I have a decent chance of doing it. I routinely, basically every season, my max has been 98 or 99. So I just need it's like a 1% game. It can't be that hard, right? It is. It's very hard. Yeah. Elon Musk being absolutely embarrassed by DeGrom. That's funny. That's a good comment. My target for average velo for next year is 95 plus. Do I still use my red, yellow, green system? Yes, I do. I have the dashboard built for in-season stuff. I'm adapting it right now for off-season stuff, but I have all the knowledge in my head, and I know what my ranges are. So I've still been kind of adjusting that. But yeah, that's going to be a feature component of my career for the rest of my career, and hopefully, some other people start buying into that, because I think it's the future of physiology and health and performance and stuff like that. So yeah, big believer in that stuff. Of course I would be, though, because it's my invention. So I'm probably biased, but best way to increase arm strength, asking for a freshman in high school, check the channel. My playlist, Tips with Trev, I have a lot of stuff, a lot of videos in that playlist that talk about some of these things. What do I think about swimming as a recovery method? That's a pretty good question, and I think it has a ton of benefit, ton of merit. Just make sure you use it correctly. But the benefits of it would be you're moving the joints, and the day after pitching, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about in the scope of a recovery method. But the day after pitching, the biggest thing that you can do for recovery is to move around. You want to get a lot of movement in the joints, and you don't want to put any additional stress, mechanical load. So mechanical load would be like running, like you're absorbing force and stuff like that, or doing some sort of like plyometric or even high intensity throwing or something like that the next day. Not a wise idea, but you want to move the joints and you want to get a cardiovascular session in. So if you can swim and you can keep your heart rate like 120-ish while you're swimming, swim for 15-20 minutes, I think that's a tremendous recovery method and an option, just not one that's used a ton, because a lot of people don't really have access to like a lap pool or something. But if you have access to it, I think there's a lot of merit to that.
It's a team filled with great hitters. We've already documented that, but I think they beat off about two games. He's doing his thing in the leadoff spot, which he's run into a little bit of a slump these last 5 games. A little out of character, swinging early, making some outs.
Well, it sounds like the Bugatti they have next door out there. Might have to go check that out. Oh, that was a hittable pitch. Do I have more building plans with my gym? I definitely do. We're waiting on a lot of construction to be done in here. That's why this place is still such a mess, because there's just no point of like organizing it when the construction is going to be happening. But yeah, this place is going to be pretty cool when it's all said and done. So I'm looking forward to showing you guys that as it happens. Ooh. Almost a double play for the Astros.
He had a good view of it. He immediately pointed to his dugout. We'll take another look at it, as the Astros will. And they're going to have the umpiring crew.
Yep, that's a double play. Astros are out of that inning.
Yeah, that view pretty much tells it. That'll be reversed. Stanek saw it. And it looks like an inning-ending double play. But we know better than to assume anything when it goes to replay. Although I think the crowd's assuming that the inning's over. 6-4-3 on the double play, turned by Correa and Altuve. Time to stretch in game one. Big bats coming up for Houston.
With Windows 11 and it performs to another level. And when it comes to streaming and board games, we haven't really experienced any buffering. It's so cool that we'll have access to movie theater level quality pretty much anywhere. Seeing it boot up that quick, I was genuinely surprised. I believe there's no lag. I didn't realize how bad you were until I got these really good graphics.
Is the underside of the McLaren okay? I think so. I haven't had any problems with it. I just actually took it in for its yearly service and checkup, and they said everything was okay. So I think I escaped Tasha's poor navigation just fine, thankfully. Shout out to you for watching the vlog. What do I think of Logan Webb's terrific postseason performances? That was fun to watch, man. It's super impressive to do it once, get into the 7th or 8th in a postseason game and pitch the way he did. Super impressive to do it once. To come back against the same team and do the same thing again is really, really tough. And I'll explain some of those reasons why. Basically, in the span of 5 days, you're facing hitters 6 or 7 times when you're getting that deep into the game. So all the hitters are talking. You finish game one, all the hitters talk. Well, how did he approach you? How did he approach you? What did you see when you got a hit off him? Like, what did you look for? They're talking about how to break it down. Plus, you have recent video of like, is he tipping pitches? What are his patterns? Every time he's in a 2-0 count, he throws a changeup maybe. Like, okay, we're going to know that going into the next game. Did he start off hard in and then finish soft away? Did he try to finish us in with fastballs? Did he elevate or does he sink it? Like, where do we need to look for the ball? Like, all of these discussions are happening in between those games, right? So you come into the second game and the offense is like, okay, I know exactly what this dude's going to do to me. He's going to try to do this and this. He's going to, if I get him into 2-0 count, look for this. If I get him into a 1-2 count, he's going to not throw a strike. Like, all these different things, they go into the game knowing those things the second time. So to come out and to be able to mix up the strategy well enough to keep them off balance is extremely impressive. The other side of it is that when you have a really, really good game the first time, it's almost like they get a worse version of you the second time, because like, how are you going to be as dialed in with velocity, as dialed in with command, as dialed in with changing speeds and sequencing and game planning and the feel of the game? It's very, very, very difficult to repeat that level of focus and that level of execution in back-to-back games. And you see that all year round. A guy throws a no-hitter. How often does he come out the next game and throw a no-hitter or get close to it? It's happened before, but it doesn't happen very often. Usually you see him come out and they give up some runs next time out. And now that's one of the reasons why is like, it's just hard to repeat being excellent on execution, all those things back-to-back games. Also, it puts a target on your back when you have a good game. In the playoffs, a guy beats you and you're like, all right, we're going to see him again. We're going to get him next time. We're going to get him. And so the hitters go up to the plate more focused. So with all of that in mind, to see what Webb was able to do to one of the best offenses, if not the best offense in baseball this year, is extremely impressive. And obviously it was against my team, and I don't like seeing the guys like get out. Obviously, it's tough to watch, but from a fan's perspective and just watching a fan of pitching, watching those pitching performances was just like, it was super fun. It was kind of a throwback to one of the things that I fell in love with baseball over, which is the starting pitcher in the playoffs, like putting out these outstanding performances. And it's something we don't get to see a whole lot anymore. So it's like even that much more special when you do get to see it because of the way the game has changed.
on here talking about the Astros infield and all that experience. How good they are defensively, obviously offensively. Correa, Altuve, Bregman, and Gurriel just one hit. 1-10-4-10. 1 ball, 1 strike on Altuve. How many games have we done?
That's how locked in I was with my scorecard, and I just realized that's the result. What a shame. Scorecard's not good enough. I did miss out.
Knocking away. 2-1 on Altuve, 0-3.
My Koenigsegg Chimera, it's still on order. It's going to be like 3 years till it gets here, though, because they're finishing up the Jescos. They have a new car that they're doing in between, kind of a 50th 50th birthday celebration for Christian von Koenigsegg, the founder of the company. And then they're building a new facility, a new production facility to actually create the Chimeras. So until that's done in the end of 2022, I think it's going to be done end of 2022. They can't even start production. So it's going to be a while till it gets here.
I had an impressive streak going. I put 2 innings worth in my 3rd inning.
What advice would I give Dusty's toothpick? Come on. Come on now. What kind of a question is that? That's funny.
Jackson is scoreless 6th. Got Castro to start this 7th. Brings on the 3-2 on Altuve. More than likely his last here.
It's been cool to see for Jackson after his performance in the last series. He's been a lot better and having some success. It was tough to see him like kind of with his hands in his head, or his head in his hands in the dugout in the last series. Just from a human standpoint, it's tough seeing people struggle like that. So happy to see him have some success here.
They don't want anything to start. Jackson, good work. Brantley coming up. Matzik coming in.
Some of my favorite metal bands. Let's see. We got Amon Amarth, Arch Enemy, Disturbed, Killswitch Engage, All That Remains, As I Lay Dying. We got Bullet for My Valentine, Avenged Sevenfold. We got Soilwork. Who am I? I got to be missing some people. Amity Affliction. August Burns Red has some good stuff. Lamb of God. Lamb of God is like one of the biggest ones. Can't believe I took so long to get to them. Huge Lamb of God fan. My boy Art Cruz. Shout out to Art Cruz. Five Finger Death Punch. Who else? Those are some of them. That'll give you a pretty good. Oh, In Flames. In Flames, another one. I can't believe I forgot In Flames. They're fantastic. That'll give you enough to go on. Should a pitcher throw to their strengths or adopt to the hitter's weakness? So that's a great question. The pitcher should always throw to his strengths. Unfortunately, for a lot of pitchers, their strengths are pretty one-dimensional. They have a great pitch, let's say, or they have a great couple pitches, or they sequence very well and they only throw away. And so it makes it easy for hitters to game plan against them. You can't ask a pitcher to go out there and do something different than he's practiced, do something that he's not good at, and try to compete and be good. So the solution to that is to make your strengths wide ranging enough that you can match up with a lot of different lineups and a lot of different teams, using your strengths, but have them be difficult to game plan against. So, for instance, if my strength is my fastball, well, can I make my strength my fastball and cutter combination? Then can I make my strength my fastball cutter slider combination? Can I then make my strength fastball cutter slider changeup combination? Can I add strengths to my repertoire, add strengths to my game, so that when I need to face a guy with a cutter and a changeup, those are both strengths. So I'm not doing anything that I'm not good at. I'm just using my strengths, but I'm using some of my strengths, the right strengths, against this guy. So that would be my recommendation. But you can't ask a pitcher to go out there and do something that he hasn't practiced or that he's not good at in a competitive environment. That's just never going to work. You got to work on that in practice to take it out into the game.
Although you can imagine the last couple of days was welcome rest for him. Through independent baseball to get back. Bradley fouls it away. Snicker talked to us before the game, and he said last year, after spring training was shut down because of COVID, they started it back up. Brian talked to Alex Anthopoulos and said, "Who's that left-hander we had who was striking everybody out? Get him back here." Yeah. He's got an electric fastball, an arm swing, and then it looks easy, but then the ball explodes on the hitter. And that's what you want as a pitcher. You want them thinking it's easy and it's violent.
Brantley just raking again. Oh my goodness. This man absolutely rakes. Good for you, Brant.
It would not take much to get the Astros back in this game. See, if you got a big swing in this game, you're going to have a hard time hitting that. If your swing's too big, this is just short, foot down, no stride, everything mechanically sound. It's like connected from his hands to the barrel of the bat. Nice play by Rosario to keep Brantley at first base. Here's Rhythmic.
I've been working on my changeup for like 10 years now. Yes, I have. The reason I'm not happy with my changeup is it doesn't profile individually as an elite pitch. My cutter, slider, curveball, all profile as elite individual pitches without the effects of the arsenal effects of being, playing off of each other. My fastball and the my 2020 and early half of 2021 fastball profiled as an extremely elite pitch. So I only really threw those things because those were elite pitches before the kind of arsenal effects. My changeup is a good pitch. It's just not an elite pitch. And so I didn't see any reason that I should throw a non-elite pitch. So when I talk about working on my changeup, I'm mainly talking about like trying to get it to be an elite pitch before I throw it a lot. But over the course of a long season, like you do need that pitch. So as a fifth pitch, like my changeup is a very, very, very good fifth pitch. Because not many people throw a fifth pitch. But yeah, that's just my mentality. I want every single pitch that I throw to be an elite pitch. So that's why I'm still working on it, trying to get it to be an elite movement profile. But yeah, I'll be throwing it. I'm always tinkering with it. So I'll figure it out eventually, hopefully for next year. But I'll be throwing it a lot more over the course of long seasons than I did in a season like 2021 or even like I did in 2020 in Cincinnati, or even like I did early in the season in 2021. When you plan for a long season, a lot of the things that you have to do is mix up your approach and your sequences and your attack plans as the season progresses. So you don't just have a first half, then hitters a good first half, then hitters zero in on what you do, and then you struggle in the second half. If you can identify when hitters are starting to pick up your sequences and then change something around, you like roll the whole second half of the season. So if you have enough stuff in your arsenal to be able to do that, it's important to kind of save some stuff early on to then work that in over the course of the season. I think you saw that a little bit with Walker for those Dodger fans out there. And he threw a lot more changeups in the back half of the season than he did in the first half of the season. It's one of the ways he's able to like differentiate the approach and have the success that he did and, you know, all season long. So that's just one example, but key point.
There are beautiful ideas that remain in the dark. But with our new multi-cloud experience, you have the flexibility you need to unveil them to the world.
Yeah, my fastball still will be elite even with lower spin rates, especially if I can get the velocity up. Also, the effects of league-wide spin rate dropping will help my fastball be elite again, because relative to the other fastballs in the league, it'll be still on the top end of the spin. So, yeah, my fastball will be elite still, especially if I can throw it 95 plus. But how do I throw my cutter? Do you guys want like breakdowns of like technical stuff like that? Like how I throw each pitch and like cues that I use and like high speed footage and whatever. Would that be something that you guys want to see on the channel? I figure that's not something a whole lot of people would want to see because not a ton of people like play and pitch. But if that's something you guys want, let me know in the chat. I can do something like that.
Eighth inning. Damage done by the Braves the first three. With 5-0, it's now 5-1. It's been that way since the fourth. Peterson takes outside from Stanek for one. Peterson, Swanson, and Soler.
Okay, you guys want the breakdowns. You guys want the pitch design breakdowns. All right. I'm gonna put a note in my phone. I'll get some Edgertronic footage together and I'll talk you guys through that. Oh, that's a good point. Should I sprinkle it in the vlogs or should I make dedicated videos for those breakdowns?
General manager and the Bruce, the acquisition of those four outfielders. In 2014, when he was young general manager with the Toronto Blue Jays were in his pick on the wild card line, did not make a deal at the trade deadline. And there was something of a revolt in the clubhouse among the players, especially Jose Bautista. And Alex said that year, they fell short of the postseason, and has informed what he has done ever since at the deadline, adding on whenever the team is close. Joe, you know, this Braves team, not over 500, is August.
Peterson grounds to the right side. Altuve spins. Bounces back. What a good play by Altuve. His second of the night. One out the eighth.
All right, what other videos do you guys want to see? I struggle for ideas sometimes. I have some kind of in the hole that I'm planning on making this offseason that I think would be good, but like, what do you guys want to see? Like, what kind of other videos? You want to see more like vlog style stuff that's obviously popular? Do you want to see more technical stuff? Do you want to see like non-baseball related? Like, you want to tour my my closet, my fashion game? It's pretty on point if you haven't noticed. What do you guys want to see?
Still smiling. After an 0 for 4 night so far, that ball one upstairs to Swanson. Just to add to what Tom was talking about, this Braves team is the 4th team ever to reach the World Series after having a losing record at the All-Star break. 64 Cardinals, 73 Mets. The 1991 Atlanta Braves. That's a strike, 1 ball, 1 strike on Swanson. You know, Brian Snyder, all those years under Bobby Cox, all those years going to postseason, handling it, now he's getting a taste of it. He finds himself amazed at how Bobby could deal with all that comes with that. Of course, Brian was in AAA, managed there when he came still in here, the Atlanta Braves, and now he's been in Incentivizing. 5th full year, took over in 2016. Delivered the 6th pen to the Atlanta Braves. And 56th year in Atlanta.
Oh,
Started in Boston, Milwaukee from 53 to 60.
a lot of people saying bring back Bauer bites. That got tough with COVID, especially the last 2 years, because we just couldn't like get anybody together because of the regulations. We couldn't really do that this spring either. So hopefully next spring we'll have a version of Bauer bites back. That'd be great. We are planning on some more like kind of in gym conversations, kind of like Bauer bites, but more in like a casual setting, coming up soon. So if y'all check out Momentum's channel. If you're not following Momentum on YouTube, you should definitely do that on Twitter and Instagram as well. But yeah, those conversations will be coming this offseason. Just a bunch of the guys that are training here, talking about, you know, baseball, training, pitching, life, whatever. So yeah, those will be coming back. Not exactly how Bauer Bites was with like dinner and stuff like that, but it'll be very similar style. So make sure to check out and follow Momentum so you don't miss those.
People close their eye on that when he jumped out to take out a picture in this postseason. Trying to think about it. Feel bad.
Viewer critique videos. What do you mean by viewer critique videos? Expand on that. Is that me like breaking down user submitted videos? Is that asking for viewers to critique something I'm doing? I think that's a good idea. I just don't understand exactly what you're going for there.
After Swanson does something, 3-2 pitch. About that. Let's give it now. Kenny, that's a neat little twist to this World Series. It sure is, Joe. And remember, this team was supposed to be in last year's World Series, but both the Astros and Braves lost to the LCS. This time is happening, and the person caught in the middle is Ronnie Smith, Brian's wife, Troy's mom. The three of them went to dinner last night. Might be the last time they're all together until the end of the World Series. And Brian has talked eloquently about the sacrifices Ronnie made while he was toiling away in the minors. Dragging a kid, Erin and her younger brother Troy, all over the Southeast, taking to all of that activity while working as a speech pathologist.
Breaking down my own outings. So I definitely have some breaking points of like individual at bats that I've done. But if you guys want to see me break down like certain outings, like as a whole, just like walk you through the whole game, I could do that. Do you guys want to see that, or do they get kind of boring when you're just watching like a half an hour video of me breaking down thought processes and stuff like that in a game? What do you guys think?
Take that final step, finally get to the World Series. First time in 22 years, a swinging bunt for a base hit and going first to third is Swanson. Just a jet swing little roller and in the perfect spot away from Stanek. And good base running by Swanson to go first and third on the hit by Soler. Truly no man's land right here. Of course, he didn't try to do this, but it ended up working perfectly, and Stanek did everything he could to try and make that play. Gurriel has to read if he can make it, then throw it to Stanek, and then Stanek, I've been there, man, I've done that.
So the person asking about a docuseries that integrates experience of multiple players next season, that's something that we want to do, and we've wanted to do for 2 or 3 years now. But with COVID, we're not able to do that. We're not able to get access to the players because players aren't able to have access to anyone really. So hopefully next season the COVID protocols are relaxed, COVID's gone, everyone can be back to normal life, and we can actually do something like that. But that's something that I think would be super compelling, and it's something that we've had on the docket for a couple of years now. We just haven't been able to execute it yet.
It has no preset spending limit, so our purchasing power adapts to our business needs. We use our 2% cash back to help cover our employees' healthcare costs.
That's how we take care of our most valuable asset.
Our people.
It may sound cheesy,
But we like it that way.
I'll take your wallet.
Doritos Mac and Sweet Chili Wings.
Get 'em while you can.
Michael Lorenzen or Tim in a bench press conference competition. Probably Tim. Probably Tim wins that one. Live at bats in the desert again. Okay, I got to take some notes here. So people want live at bats. People want more McLaren footage. People want pitch design breakdowns, technical information, Bauer bites. What else do the people want? Longer videos. Yeah. So what I'm doing with all these short videos is I'm just taking snippets from the live streams that I'm doing, because I know most people won't go back and watch a 4-hour live stream. So I'm just taking the clips that I think are interesting, that'll be valuable to people, and posting those out, so that people can search for those individual topics. I'm definitely planning on making longer videos. So the channel isn't just going to be kind of like short snippets, but because I'm live streaming the games and interacting like this, like I'll take some of these answers that I'm giving on this live stream and post them up, so that people can find them. So that's what I'm doing. Fear not, longer videos will be back. Don't worry. I am also posting the vlogs once a week, and I have some other ideas that I haven't been able to fully bring together yet, but those will be coming soon. So don't worry on that front. Also, thanks for the clarity on the critique videos. Oh, safe at the plate, man. A good throw. He's out by a mile, but that's a big run. It's a big run. Great slide by Swanson right there. Really high level stuff. Oh man, just by less than a foot. That's crazy. Such good camera work in the postseason.
Especially this late in the game. Freeman, his 7th RBI as it stands this postseason. Just a great slide. Castro, the throw takes Castro up the line, so there's really nowhere to go for Swanson but to try and slide around him, and he got in there safe.
Someone says, I heard you weren't able to figure out why your fastball spin went from 2250 to 2450 across the years. Have you figured that out? Largely, yes, I have. I'm not going to share it because that's kind of like the secret sauce right now, especially with the crackdown on foreign substances. People who can figure out how to add spin naturally are going to have a massive advantage in the next 5 to 10 years of baseball before everyone figures it out. So I'm keeping that one close to the vest until until it becomes a little bit more public knowledge. But the people that train with me here get that knowledge, and people I'm close to, a lot of the players that reach out to me for pitching advice and recommendations and stuff like that, I'll share it with them. Or whatever, will see it and then be like, oh, that can make us a lot of money, and they'll promote it as their own idea, and I just don't want that to happen anymore. So I'm going to keep that one close to the vest.
At T-Mobile for Business, unconventional thinking means we see things differently, so you can focus on what matters most. Whether it's ensuring food arrives as fresh as when it costs, being first on the scene when every second counts, or teaching biology without a lab. We are the leader in 5G and the partner who delivers exceptional customer support and 5G included in every plan.
Would I play for either of these two teams? Yeah, I'd play for both of them. No problem with either of them. I grew up a Braves fan, actually, because they were always on TBS. So I've always been partial to the Braves. But yeah, I would play for both of them. I have no problem with it.
I thought we had a bunch of bird seed on this website, but they're recommending cat food. I think we need cats. Oh, what's a kitty cat? You want a kitty cat?
With early paycheck, you can get your direct deposit up to 2 days early. That's another reason banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of the system. Even easier than that.
Well, for me, which one do you want to open up first?
Yep, even easier than that. Plus, with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, isn't even a decision. That's banking for you next. Let's see you roll.
So for the person saying to post the clips through YouTube Shorts, I don't know exactly. I think Shorts are supposed to be under a minute, and most of the videos are like a minute and 15 seconds or a minute and 20 or 2 minutes. So maybe the ones that are like 47 seconds I could post as Shorts. I don't know what differentiates a short from a normal video other than just the duration of it. Is it like, does it have to be vertical format? Or is it just the length? I don't know the answer to that. Maybe I should do some research.
Andrew Swanson, a good base running, leading to a run on the sac fly by Freddie Freeman at the top of this 8th inning. The Braves have their 5-run lead back, which they enjoyed after 2.5 innings tonight. And Matzik, who came on to allow a hit and then got a strikeout of Freeman, when the 7th deals with Alvarez. Breaking ball for a strike. 10 strikeouts tonight by the Astros. 3 by their leadoff hitter Altuve, and that doesn't happen very often. Less than 35 times in the regular season. Think about that. That's not very much. Braves twice that in the regular season, 10 or more strikeouts. Alvarez just flips the bat at it.
Oh man. Alvarez is crazy powerful. He barely like flicked that ball. I thought he hit that out. That was crazy. That dude has insane power.
I mean, that just shows how strong he is. I'm telling you, he doesn't give way. It's so incredible to be this big and this strong and not.
It's like reaching for the ball a little bit there.
And he stays on a tough
Wow.
pitch. It gets his hands.
What great camera work again.
Almost flipping 412.
Dang. Crazy. Where did Ray Chalupa go? She went to a comedy special with one of her clients, Zach Hess, who's doing some stand-up comedy stuff. So she's over there enjoying the laughs.
He's got 2 triples this postseason. He's got 1 in the regular season in his career. Correa comes up empty, 1 ball, 1 strike. Now, if you're Tyler Matzik in this situation, you don't even care about the runner at third. You don't even care scores. Having been in enough of these situations, you can't get caught up. You just know you got to get 3 outs before they score a bunch of runs. 1-1 to Correa. Runner at third, nobody out. Strike 2. 976 regular season plate appearances by Rodon.
All right, so I guess shorts have to be vertical format. So from now on, if I have a clip that's under a minute, I'll make them shorts. But most of the videos are like 1 minute and 20 seconds though, so that's not going to clean up the clutter on the channel too much. But good recommendation on that. I'll get on that. Kind of hard though sometimes when you have like 4 people because it takes up the full width. So I guess like if different people were talking, you'd have to like shift the short. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Who am I rooting for in this? I'm rooting for the Braves, but I think the Astros are going to win. My prediction is Astros in 5, but that's not looking like a very good prediction so far. But we'll see how it plays out. Oh, what a pick by Freeman. 6-2. Braves will take that trade all day. Give up a run, get an out. They're still in a dominant position to win this game. What Dale, when you're saying about a Discord channel, what would be the purpose of having a Discord channel for this channel? What did you have in mind for that? I'm not opposed to the idea, but just want to hear more of what you think.
Freeman secured it, and he bobbled it after that. Correa would have been safe as it was. You stayed in that spot. Tucker takes a strike. RBI ground out now, 6 RBIs this postseason for Correa and 56 RBIs the postseason career. With soon to be free agent. I don't know how long it takes Tucker to wash his hands after every this one. Hours. 98 for Matson, 0-2 to come. Goes to that dirt a lot. No bad gloves. But he does have tape.
Someone says hello from China. If you're actually over in China, shout out to you. I didn't know people in China could get on YouTube. Is that a thing? Isn't it like MeWe or something? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but I think China has different social medias, right?
Tomorrow night, back here for game 2 of the World Series, Braves and Astros, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on Fox and the Fox Sports app. And a matchup with Max Fried, the terrific young left-hander for Atlanta, against Jose Urquidy, who lost game 3 of the ALCS, his only action so far this postseason.
Dang, Astros are playing wall ball this inning. Oh, he's out. I got him out. What a throw. Is that Rosario? Yeah, he's just doing everything. Gurriel was safe if he doesn't get stuck in the dirt. Oh, he got him right on the fingertips. Rosario just out here living his best life. Good for you, Eddie.
see if the ball hit over the line. Yeah, it was close. Let's see. Oh, that's close.
Ah, man.
The line or below. I don't know about that.
It's going to be just below that yellow line. That's the unique part of this park, right? You can hit down the line short distance for a home run.
All right. Seems like the people want a Discord channel. I'm going to look into what a Discord channel is. I know absolutely nothing about that platform. So I'll do some research tonight and see if I can think of some ways that it would be beneficial for the channel. But yeah, thanks. Thank you guys for the suggestions.
It looked like Ted Barrett pointed to second base, like that's what they were doing. Let's take another look at where this ball hits. Looks to be below the line, yeah, just above the guaranteed sign.
Oh, boy, that was almost a homer. Wow.
We're told that would be a home run in 28 ballparks, but it's not here at Minute Maid Park. And then Gurriel tagged out at second. And that ends the inning. A run on 2 hits, and Gurriel cut down by Emmy Rosario, who is doing everything for the Atlanta Braves this postseason. 6-2 after 8 in Game 1.
Who's the best hitter in MLB right now? Juan Soto. If you're asking my opinion, it'd be Juan Soto. All right, I got to take some supplements. I'll be right back. It's a tricky corner out there in Houston to manage because you got the wall that pokes out and you got to know when you can drift back behind it. Good play by Brandt. Underrated play right there. Well, Rosario's staying hot, so that's not great news for the Astros.
A single in the third, a double in the seventh. After going 14 for 25 in the NLCS, that's out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. I know players have done it. It would be just so hard to kind of come close to what he did in the previous series with the days off and come back and start over. But 2 for 4 ain't bad to start out his World Series. Here's a 1-1 pitch from Rayleigh. Left side, nice pitch. Brad gets the out.
Ooh. I was almost hit number 3 for Rosario. What do I do to turn off my brain before bed and improve sleep quality? I don't know a whole lot about improving sleep quality from like turning my brain off. I don't know what the correlations there are, but it did for a while take me a long time to fall asleep because I couldn't turn my brain off. So I actually develop this routine that's kind of like a meditation routine almost. But what I'll do is I'll lay down and I'll just lay on my back and lay in the same position. And I'll think about my toes going to sleep and then my feet, my ankles, my calves, my knees, and work my way up the body. And I just won't move. And I'll just kind of think about putting those areas of the body to sleep. And so once I'm completely relaxed like that, then I think of I take some deep breaths and I try to count 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. But when I'm doing that, I'm drawing the number in like kind of this red hot burning kind of color. So it's like I have my eyes closed and it's kind of a black, and then I'm just seeing like 1, and I'm having to like trace that number in my mind. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the exhale. So it's kind of drawing my attention to that. So I'm focusing on one thing. That's the whole purpose of that part of it. And then I imagine that I'm sitting in like a playhouse and I'm watching like a theater play. You have a stage and you have the audience kind of an amphitheater, and all the actions going on stage are the things that are going on in my mind. So I give them their time to just float around in my mind. And as I'm thinking about all those things, I just slowly imagine curtains closing. And it's a slow process, and just kind of the curtains close. And then once the curtains close, I immediately imagine a black hole, just sucking everything into complete blackness. And generally speaking, I'm asleep by the time I get to that point. But it took me a while to develop that routine, and I don't know if that'll work for anybody else, but that's kind of what I do. Now, I don't know if that improved my sleep quality or not, but it did teach me how to turn my brain off and actually fall asleep. And then for the quality side of things, I'm actually in the process of figuring that out, because it's a huge competitive advantage if you can sleep really well. For recovery, for skill acquisition, for hormonal purposes and development and cognition and command and all, like there's just tremendous benefits to sleeping well. So I actually went out and got a sleep study device. I purchased one of them, like with all the wires for those of you who have had a sleep study done in the lab. I basically have one at home, and I use that and I test certain things. So some of the things that I found out that when I sleep on my back, I have a lot of sleep hypopnea events that happen. When I sleep on my side, I don't. So I'm training myself to sleep only on my side so that I have better quality of sleep throughout the night. So I'm really trying to optimize that process. Still in the learning phase, but those are some tips on the sleep and turning your brain off. Hopefully that helps.
Give us more flexibility, but we lose control. Now we need insights across our data silos, but how? Well, we can stay and go. HP really is the platform that brings the cloud to us. People, with QuickBooks Live, someone else will do your work for you.
We can pair you with expert bookkeeper like me who knows your business.
No, your business. Expert bookkeepers who understand your business. Intuit QuickBooks Live Bookkeeping.
Yeah, Debbie, I do need to get the cortisol to decrease because unfortunately, my cortisol skyrockets right before bed. So that's one of the things that we're investigating and looking into, trying to figure out how to even that out. Because obviously it's supposed to spike in the morning to help wake you up and then decrease as the day goes along. And mine does that, but then it also spikes right before bed. So got to figure out why that's happening. That's one of the things that we're investigating. Shout out to the fans here from Bulgaria. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, if you're having trouble sleeping, keep watching this game. That's pretty right. This has been a fairly boring game. Not a whole lot of drama in this one.
Will Smith uses his fastball as a show pitch, but when he does use it and gets outs with it, boy, does that add to what he throws that slider every pitch.
How good were my grades in high school? I had a 4.2, 4.3, something like that in high school GPA. I took a lot of classes at the community college and AP classes, so that's how my GPA was higher.
Is in the game and center, and Adam Duvall in right. Comes a 1-1 to Diaz.
Oh boy. Foul. Boy. Houston's been really close to having another 3 runs in the last 2 innings. This game could be really close right now.
Diaz over 3 this postseason. Trying to get something started. 4 runs.
Okay, so have I ever had a yips moment or full-blown yips? No, me personally, I have not. I've dealt with multiple players, multiple really close friends of mine that did, and ultimately ended up ending both of their careers. I don't have a ton of great advice, having not been through it myself. I can't share something that's worked for me. I don't know a whole lot about the phenomenon because I've never been through it. From talking to the people that have been through it, it's this like creeping kind of like anxiety about whether you can or can't do it. So the best advice I can give is to make practice like as hard as possible from a consequence standpoint. I think that's one of the biggest things. Most people practice, they feel very comfortable in practice. They're not failing a lot in practice. They're not, there's no consequence if they don't succeed in practice. One of the ways that I've done it in the past, and I'm not recommending this by any means, but you make a bet in a practice session, like whoever has the best command for these 10 pitches gets to shoot the loser with a paintball gun. Velo slaps sometimes work, like if you don't lift the weight or something, you get like a slap on the back or something like that. But it's something that you care about. It's got to be something that you care about that happens if you don't win in practice, so that you have to start dealing with failure in some capacity. It's just very tough to mimic that, because when you get on a field and you're in front of a whole bunch of fans and a whole bunch of people, and there's pressure of losing your job or advancing to the next level or whatever, it's really hard to mimic that. But the closer you can get to mimicking that in practice, the more you can deal with that anxiety, and you can spark that anxiety in practice and figure out ways for yourself to deal with it. The more you can train at a level that's past anything you'll face in the game, it'll help reduce game time anxiety. And those are the best suggestions that I can really give you. Yips aren't something that's like a physical, like I physically cannot do this. It's a mental thing. So the more you can build a robust mental framework by failing more often in practice, under higher and higher stakes, the more you can build up a tolerance to that, and you become a lot more resistant to, the game related anxiety or the yips or those types of issues. So, not sure if any of that helps at all, but hopefully something I said will help spark an idea for helping figure that out.
Top of the order will follow. 6-2 game. 1-2 pitch. Will's been in a ton of situations, been in the home run games, and he knows you need 3 people on deck, 3 people on base every time run to the plate. So again, the guy at first means nothing if you just want to get outs before 3 other runners, or 2 other runners in this case, get on base for the time run to be brought to the plate. Number 9 man in the order. Second plate appearance. That is outside. 2-2.
Double play? Nope. Not quick enough, but got an out. That's a big one. Didn't want to walk 2 people to start off that inning.
That was Riley in the middle of it. And the force out 4-5. Castro runs and back to the top of the order up 2 down. 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. 3 strikeouts the first time he's done that in his long postseason career. And that makes it dangerous for this at bat. It really does. You would think, well, no, it's not. It's actually going the wrong way. But he's the kind of player that feeds off of when the moment is going the wrong way, he does something to change it. And he always tries to do something fast, like on the first pitch. Well, these are the times that, again, you got the shift on, but this would be a perfect illustration, and he has the capability of doing it, to just serve one to right field and get another runner on the base. Left side.
Double play? Not going to get Altuve on that one. Yep.
So 2 force outs after the leadoff walk, and this game is up to Bradley for the Astros to try and
Who you guys got as player of the game in this one? Is it Rosario? 2 hits? Is it Braves bullpen? Who we got for player of the game?
Bradley with a 3-hit night.
Yeah, Duvall, Minter. Minter did come in and give him a huge boost.
Discretionary win coming by the official scorer. Assume the win will go to A.J. Minter, who was so good at 2 2/3 to run on 3 hits. 3 strikeouts, no walks, and a career-high 43 pitches after Morton left for the injury. Altuve takes second on strike 1 on Bradley, and Altuve has to come back. So what you're saying is it's up to him. What I'm saying is up to the official scorer, and it's going to go to that guy. If Atlanta hangs on, they take game 1, and then there's big-time pressure with a matchup of Max Fried and Jose Urquidy. Pressure for the home team tomorrow night.
Oh. All right. Braves take it 6-2. Player of the game, Minter. I'm partial to pitchers. Soler got him off to a good start. Definitely a candidate, but Minter to stabilize that game and get it to the back end of the bullpen. Huge innings there. So, yeah, player of the game goes to Minter, and the Braves take game 1. I'll be back tomorrow night for a live stream, breaking down the game, answering more questions if you guys would like to join me. But that's all for tonight. So thanks for hanging out. I'll see you tomorrow.
Starting with a home run to begin game one.